delivered by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Palou wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Good morning and welcome into another day of As the Colt Quarterback Turns. We will take a look at what happened at the first day of practice with Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback yesterday. Good morning, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton, KB. I saw you wrote a nice retrospective on all of the quarterbacks who have started on opening day since 2000. It's becoming quite the list, is it not?
I would love to take credit for that, but I did not write anything along those lines on the website. But hey,
someone did. I have to go back and see who it was. I usually just assume Colt stuff is you up there.
Maybe I should go in and scrub the byline and say that was Kevin Bowen if it was a good piece. Yeah,
this is a teacher talking, by the way.
Quite a no AI, no. Hey, my roommate wrote it for me. But yes, quite a few names since 2016, 2017.
Our digital guy Nick wrote it.
Shout out to Nick
That
Cotton.
makes sense. He does a lot of good stuff on that website, too, 1075thefan.com.
Yeah, we would not be probably up and running on a lot of different things if it wasn't for Nick. Shout out to Nick.
Yeah, Nick's got it going on now. Your piece at The Athletic was, is this the end for Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis?
Yeah, more or less. And my stance, which I tried to lay out yesterday during the show, and I can lay out hopefully a little bit more eloquently throughout the piece and throughout today's show, is that I understand why the Colts decided to pivot away from Anthony Richardson. If you tell me this guy is not a starting quarterback in the NFL, his resume would suggest that he is not. And obviously one of the most damning plays of his career was tapping out of a game and saying, I'm too tired. Like, that is the play that a lot of people, I think, nationally remember him for. So if you want to move on from that player who had a league low completion percentage last year at 47.7, that to me makes sense in a vacuum. But then my pushback against how they're framing this is that, oh no, you are quitting on him. You are giving up on him. Just admit that. Like, you cannot sit here with a straight face and tell us, the media, the fans, and say, oh no, we're not giving up on him. How are you not? I'm not even saying you're not justified, but just don't tell us that you're not doing it. Yes, you are. When you bench a guy twice in 9 months, a guy that's healthy, both of those times you benched him, you're saying, we don't want this guy to be our quarterback. That's fine. Just admit it. And then on the flip side, when it comes to Daniel Jones, also don't try to sit and tell us that this guy is a very stabilizing quarterback. No, he is not. His track record would suggest that he is not. Now, I don't know if you can sit up there and tell the media, Kevin, that you chose a lesser of two evils, but I don't have to worry about what PR, tactic you use. I just feel like we have to cut through some of the nonsense.
No, I think that's very, very well said. There's a part of me that's like, is Daniel Jones better than Anthony Richardson? Or is he just more consistent? Like, is he truly a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson?
I don't know.
Does consistency in the NFL
they should be telling
you
me
better?
that. They actually have told us that.
Or is he just safer? Or is he just more consistent? Or does Shane Steichen feel like he has more control with him at the helm? I probably tend to think it's the latter there. So, another practice for the Colts yesterday. They'll have one more today off to Cincinnati, where a lot of backups and guys that probably won't even be on the roster this time next week will be playing. It will be Riley Leonard and Jason Bean, and we'll hear from Shane Steichen a little bit later today.
So, Kevin, let's drill down on that a little bit, too. You talk about more control for Shane Steichen. In other words, you're saying this is a quarterback, Daniel Jones. He's just going to run the offense the way I tell him to run the offense.
Correct.
And he's going to take advantage of option one, option two. There are not going to be a ton of off-script plays, although Daniel Jones early in his career had some great off-script plays. But he just do what I ask you to do.
Tom Pelissero, I thought, hit it really well when he joined us yesterday at 9 o'clock. Anthony Richardson scares an opposing defense arguably as much as he scares his own offense, whereas Daniel Jones doesn't really strike fear into either unit. So that's what the Colts are opting for. And, maybe we can get more into that. And when you opt for that, what you're saying is you obviously very much believe in so much of the pieces around said player, and they definitely believe in that. And, the Colts started to get a little bit better injury news on that front. Saw a couple guys back to practice yesterday. So we'll continue to monitor that because I do think that'll be a big part of Tuesday and roster cuts. And I did think on the practice field yesterday, James, we can get into this a little bit later, but Alec Pierce definitely had a Xavier Howard welcome back to the NFL moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to have that, and I guess if you're going to have it, you wanted to have it in practice if you're Xavier Howard versus on a game day.
All right, we'll talk about all those things and take a look at the Colts as they get ready for their final preseason game of the 2025 season. That's going to be coming up later on this weekend. Also tomorrow night, Fever back in action. We know now that Sophie Cunningham became the latest in a long string of injuries of people who are going to be out for the season. But what we also learned yesterday, James Boyd, from Scott Agnes, is that during a little workout in Las Vegas, or was it Phoenix? It was in Phoenix that Caitlin Clark tweaked an ankle as she's continuing to rehab from a groin injury.
Yeah, so obviously not a positive development there. And I believe that was a couple of weeks ago, but nevertheless, she is still not available to the team. And I think Stephanie White said yesterday that there was essentially no update on her. She remains out indefinitely.
Starts to make you wonder if this is just going to be one of those resilient teams that fights scratches and claws, but KB, because of injuries and the things that are just being thrown at this team, that there's certainly a ceiling on where they end up at the end of the year.
The Caitlin Clark stuff sounds not good at all to me.
Just one after another after another?
I mean, Stephanie White's words and just her general tone, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, again, I'm reading too much into it here, but it just, I mean, we're, 2.5 weeks away from the end of the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
How long does she need to practice for?
Well, if it goes on another week or two more, in the absence of any real information, you start to say to yourself, well, just how severe was that injury, and was it going to be a season ender all along?
I mean, if it goes on 2 more weeks, she's not playing.
That's what I'm saying.
So, again, if the last, better part of the last couple of weeks, okay, this is a drop dead date, this is a drop dead date. The Fever today, it's their final day off in a 4-day stretch. And, by no accounts is Caitlin Clark practicing today. So, playoffs pretty much 2 weeks away. Her availability for that, I think, is very much up in the air. You would think that she needs, again, at least a good chunk of a 7 to 10 day period of practice, and then, hopefully get into a game setting before that. So, big matchups. They do benefit schedule-wise right now. The Lynx play tonight, so it will be a back-to-back for them tomorrow. And Nafise Collier has missed almost the entire month of August here with an ankle injury. It sounds like she could play tonight. They're in Atlanta against the Dream, who actually I think the only team that has beat them outside of their loss the other night here since the All-Star break. So could be some good scheduling news for the Fever here, but they will see the Lynx twice in 3 days coming up tomorrow night.
Starting to take a look at college football, which is creeping closer and closer and is almost upon us, as a matter of fact. There's also a story up on 1075thefan.com, and I'll address this question to you, James Boyd. The title is, what kind of coach is Barry Odom? Defensive back Tony Grimes explained it was based off an interview that we did on the station not too long ago. But what are they getting in Barry Odom, a man who comes over from UNLV and has also had some Power 5 experience?
I don't know much about Barry Odom besides our interview with him.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds confident. It sounds like any coach would going into their first year with the program. But, yeah, beyond that, I'm sorry. I went to Illinois, and my world is more pro sports than Purdue football, quite frankly. I didn't watch a lot of them last year.
No, that's a jab at Purdue football.
That's a reality about Purdue football.
I think he's right on that one.
Yeah,
Sorry, Todd
I
Meyer.
don't pull punches, but that is a reality. I don't think anybody watched a lot of Purdue football, even Purdue alum.
I would like Purdue football to force us to pay attention to them this year, because I think it'd be good for everybody. Anytime you get good programs going in the state, Indiana took a big step forward last year. I'm not sure what the scheduling philosophy is moving forward in an era, I don't know if you saw, where the college football playoff folks have created their own metric for strength of schedule now, and you're going to get more credit for beating really good teams and minimal credit for beating non-Power 5 or Power 4 teams, I guess they're called now, and you get penalized a lot if you lose to a non-Power 5 team. It's a little bit, it's their own version of what ESPN's doing all along, but I wonder for Indiana, who doesn't play a non-Power 4 team in their non-conference schedule until 2030, are they now paying more to these schools to take these games to have a less of a chance to get to the playoff moving forward?
Yeah, I'll just
That's what it feels like.
Toss kind of one in on Barry Odom. He strikes me as a very straight shooter. I think the Ryan Walters idea was, hey, in this new age of college football, can you get a younger coach that might be more open-minded to how the college football game was trending? Clearly, that did not work out at all. And now with Barry Odom, I don't want to make the Kurt Cignetti comp because that's unfair to Kurt Cignetti, frankly. But it is more of a guy that, okay, what he did at UNLV was pretty impressive. No one really had done that out there in quite some time. And we'll see where, how quickly, I guess, he can get it onto stable ground again. And can you get back to, Joe Tiller football there? Yeah, I mean, as far as Indiana's concerned, I feel like, gosh, I really wish I could like Joey Molinaro, my Nick Saban voice. But the question for me with Indiana right now is, are you a college football program? Like, you look at the top 10 teams on the AP or on the coaches poll, those are programs. Those are annually, those are the teams that you see up there. And Indiana was as great of a story as you will find in college football, frankly, history, in what they were able to do last year. Now the question becomes, are you a program? Can you do it with more of the bullseye on your back? And today's day and age, again, of college football, it's different. Like, it's not like you just have the big-time recruiting class and you ride that for 2 to 3 years. I mean, now it's, churn and burn a little bit here. And, yeah, Indiana lost a little bit, but they went out and they paid nearly $3 million for a guy that many people think are going to be a first-round pick at quarterback. That's different in today's day and age. So that'll be the question for me down there in Bloomington.
If you're going to do Nick Saban, you got to say program.
I know.
Program.
Yeah, you have always done a good Saban. I probably should have just passed that to you. And, Mark, before we go any further, some large WWE news, right?
Yeah.
In the Circle City?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so...
Speaking of large, at 9:45 today?
Yeah, Big Bronson Reed, WWE superstar, going to join us. So that is a gigantic dude. Originally, you said, I think he's going to be on the phone. I was like, well, I assumed he would be. And you said, no, I thought he might come in studio. I'm like, well, we're going to have to make room then because he's a large individual. But, yeah, WWE WrestlePalooza coming to Indianapolis on Saturday, September 20th. It is going to be the first ever premium live event on ESPN national television. So that will be a big deal, and it's going to be in Indianapolis. So the second premium live event in Indianapolis in one calendar year, that is pretty unheard of, that they would come to the same city twice in 1 year for a big-time event like that.
So educate me.
So
Royal Rumble is what, and WrestlePalooza is what?
So Royal Rumble is one of their big 4 events.
Which was at Lucas Oil.
Yes, and that is Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. WrestlePalooza is an old ECW pay-per-view from like the early 90s. ECW was a alternate programming to WWE. They were Extreme Championship Wrestling, had a little more hardcore wrestling going on. So this is kind of a rebirth of the WrestlePalooza name. It has not been used under the WWE company in forever. So it is a relaunch, and the hot rumor, that the main event is going to be John Cena, who is retiring at the end of the calendar year, against Brock Lesnar. A returning Brock Lesnar.
Whoa.
So that would be a huge main event.
about Senor Lesnar.
That would be a huge main event. He returned a few weeks ago and beat up John Cena. He has not been seen since. But that is the hot rumor that John Cena versus Brock Lesnar is going to be the headlining match at the WrestlePalooza pay-per-view.
Ooh, and what do they call it on Thursday night in the Mark Dykton family living room when that is all taking place?
Well, there's nothing on Thursday, but it's Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and then usually it's just the girls say, is WrestleMania on today? And I said, well, they don't understand that WrestleMania is just the event name. And it's once a year. They just ask, is WrestleMania on? I'm like, well, that's Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
I was speaking
usually.
more when they jump off the top rope and start nonsense with you.
Yeah, they do like to do that. I have to keep them in line every once in a while. We can't do this every day. Dad's getting older. Dad's getting bruised. Dad's getting beat up. So try to keep them in line. But yeah, should be a fun conversation with big old Bronson Reed coming in at 9:45.
6 foot 330, correct?
He is a big man.
Ooh.
He's a big man, big Australian dude.
All right, we'll look forward to that later on in the show. In the meantime, we'll check it down next, get you ready to go for your Thursday. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Down on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good Thursday morning, everyone, and welcome into 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. This is what's happening here and now. Daniel Jones, officially the starter for the Indianapolis Colts at quarterback. First full day of practice as that man yesterday. What did we see in our last week of media being able to watch practice, James?
You saw Daniel Jones as QB1. I think that's probably the biggest thing, and I think Xavier Howard has shown some things, Kevin, but as you alluded to, he had some also welcome back to the league moments in practice. But beyond that, you do get a bit encouraged seeing some of the guys return to practice. Some of the notable ones from yesterday, Jalen Jones, Juju Brents, were back out there. Yeah,
Tuesday was actually Jones' first day full practice, so he's now had 2 of these as QB1. He'll have another one today before the Colts head to Cincinnati tomorrow for that preseason finale coming up Saturday afternoon. Yes, Juju Brents and Jalen Jones back to practice, James. I think that is obviously big news for them. I think it's big news for roster cuts coming up on Tuesday. Khalil Herbert got back, veteran running back. I know that might not be a household name to everybody out there, but I think running back depth is a little bit up in the air. So now I'm trying to think who we shift towards. I think Josh Downs is probably a big one with that hamstring injury he suffered a week ago today, actually. Yep. Where is he at? I don't think the Braden Smith injury was supposed to be too long, but we haven't seen him since he got hurt in that preseason game against Green Bay. And then probably Nick Cross, maybe Jalen Carlies. Those are some of the others, and if I'm not forgetting anybody else there. But, yes, the Colts are definitely getting healthier than where we were at, certainly on Monday.
Oh, I would always get healthier around cut-down day. I got to be employed, baby.
Amen to that. Yeah, I mean, today's the final practice, I guess, for
preseason.
Right? The whole roster until roster cuts.
As for Anthony Richardson, I'm guessing he was just running scout team against the number 1 D.
Not into scout team just yet.
Not really.
They haven't gone into full Miami prep just yet. So he runs the second unit, if you will. And then Daniel Jones runs. So they're still doing, 1v1s, but that will, I assume, transition next week.
All right, and we'll update you on everything that happens with the Colts as it happens right here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Indiana Fever in action tomorrow night. They'll be at home against the Minnesota Lynx, one of the better teams in the league, and they just keep losing players. We learned about Sophie Cunningham earlier this week, and it doesn't look like, KB, that we're going to get Caitlin Clark back anytime soon. We just get no indication of this.
Mark, at some point, let's play that Stephanie White audio on Caitlin Clark, because it didn't sound great to me. And Scott Agnes will join us coming up at 8:30. He reported yesterday a bone bruise occurred in a workout that Caitlin Clark had a couple weeks back out in Phoenix.
This is like lower leg. I think it's like her ankle or something.
Bone bruise in her ankle, I should say. Yeah. The Fever have come out with a statement that said, this does not affect her overall rehab. The groin injury is a significant one, and she would still be rehabbing that. So you add it all up, none of it is good news for Caitlin Clark and a return imminently by any means. So tomorrow, Lynx, Sunday, Lynx. Good scheduling, though, for the Fever. The Lynx play tonight. Nafisa Collier, who was probably the MVP, James. She's been out for the last 2 or 3 weeks. She or Asia Wilson, I would think, with Kelsey Mitchell maybe knocking on that door. We'll see what her availability is like coming up tomorrow.
All right, 7:30 p.m. tip. You'll hear the game live right here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Eddie Garrison will have the Fan pregame show at 7:15. If you want to watch it on TV, it'll be on Ion TV tomorrow night. Major League Baseball. Let's check in on our favorite teams. The Los Angeles Angels stopped the Cincinnati Reds 3-game winning streak. 2-1 was the final score there. The Chicago Cubs got another win. They beat the Brewers again, 4-3. They're just teasing you, Mark. Teasing you.
I thought I was gonna have a heart attack last night because that game got way more tense in the ninth inning than it needed to be, with Palencia loading the bases with 2 outs and the Brewers only down a run. I'm like, my God, what are we doing here? Oh,
Michael Busch had the big shot.
They pulled it off.
Yeah.
Congrats,
we survive
Mark.
in advance. Thank you.
Michael Busch had a 3-run double, bases clearing double last night.
Took a lot for me to even say that out loud. So
I appreciate that, Kevin. That's very big of you.
Marlins beat the Cardinals by a score of 6-2. And Kyle Schwarber hit another home run for the Phillies last night, his 45th of the year.
He's a beast. He's a beast, and he can swing the stick.
He strikes me as someone that would have loved the WWE announcement yesterday.
Probably, but maybe he'll be there. Who knows? I mean, the promo they played featured Tyrese Halliburton and Jalen Brunson and everything. So
Well, and I think
George Kittle and all those guys.
Something to note, too, we've seen WWE have such a big presence here in Indy now for the past, 12 months or so. Patrick Talty, the head of the sports corp here in town, came from WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're trying to make some connections, and obviously we're a great event city, period, but that part of the sports, I don't know, history in our state has certainly grown a whole lot here lately. I think you can connect those dots right there.
Thank you. I'm appreciative, Patrick.
And
Thank you very much.
McAfee and Halliburton, all of it I think helps, but Talty's presence I think is pretty big.
Phillies won that game 11-2. Shohei Ohtani got beat up. That doesn't happen very often last night, in a baseball sense, by the way, Mark. He gave up 5 runs in 4 innings.
I literally thought
Dodgers
you meant
lost
he
to the
got
Rockies 8-3. That's why I
somebody
quickly
confronted
corrected
him in the
myself.
post-game parking lot.
Steel chair to the back. The ultimate betrayal.
Indianapolis Indians beat the Syracuse Mets 6-0. Those two teams play again tonight in Syracuse at 6:35. Anything else you want to throw in, Kevin? I know we got PGA Championship coming up this weekend.
Yes,
Top 30
we
players.
do. Shout out to high school football starting around the state of Indiana tomorrow night. Honestly, weather looks to be great for week 1 here. We finally broken through the sweltering heat. Nothing like we no longer have the legend that is Bud Wright coaching at Sheridan. Jeff, what year were you born, if you don't mind me going?
Long time ago in the 60s, I'll tell you that.
Bud Wright was the head coach at Sheridan from 1965 to 2024.
That's impressive.
So did Bud Wright's coaching career at Sheridan outlast your time on Earth so far? 65? Are we going before 65 or after 65?
We're going to go
for your
before
birth?
65.
Unbelievable run that he has had there. But yes, a lot of great games opening weekend. We'll have Greg Rakestraw joining us tomorrow to talk all about it.
Also, we're teaming up this year with WTHR with a lot of high school football coverage. Every Friday morning, they are going to be doing a live broadcast and a pep rally from a school in the area. And every Friday morning at 7:30, we'll be talking to Dominic Miranda, and he'll get us ready to go for Operation Football, is all the stuff that they do.
Shout out to my guy, Dominic
Miranda.
Miranda.
We're looking
He's a
forward
great
to
dude.
that.
Like
Yeah.
Dominic.
Awesome.
Love.
Him and I both had an audible reaction in the locker room during Anthony. Was it Anthony? It might have been Daniel Jones' press conference the other day because Notre Dame announced their starting quarterback, and we both
God.
got the notification at the same time. And we're losers.
Well,
Jumped in joy like the Anchorman crew. Yay!
Colts PR had to go over to Kevin Bone. Hey, no cheering in the locker room.
Yeah.
I think we're both genuinely surprised by that. But yes, Dominic will join us tomorrow along with Greg Rakestraw and, of course, Matt Taylor.
it's going to be a lot of fun as we get ready for football season. Hot and heavy. We'll talk more about it next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Saturday, 1 o'clock, the final preseason game for the Indianapolis Colts. They'll be taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, and it'll pretty much be, I think, Kevin Bowen, a junior varsity matchup between the two teams, will it not?
Yeah, Riley Leonard, Jason Bean, quarterback-wise. Cincinnati played their starters. They kind of went a different direction than they usually go. Obviously, last year did not go well for the Bengals. They played their starters a lot in the first two preseason games. So, ex-Colt, James, what is your favorite memory of Desmond Ridder's time with the Colts?
I forgot that he was briefly on the roster. I do not have one.
He's
Kevin
going through
Bowen.
the Rolodex up there.
I mean, a couple of passes in a practice isn't going to
I don't
move
even
the
know
needle.
if he threw a couple passes.
Well, individual drills, I'll give him that.
It was a 3-day minicamp tryout, the former Cincinnati Bearcat back with the Cincinnati Bengals. So, yeah, it will be one of those games. And, it is the last chance for anybody to impress. I don't know if it's too late in the process to go there, but Rick Venturi has often pinned this sort of game as the Employment Bowl. And that's probably a good way to put it.
It's a good little dub for that.
Coming up on Saturday afternoon.
I like that. Are you guys a little surprised that there's no Anthony Richardson on the schedule, given the fact that he's, Daniel Jones is your guy, and assuming he stays healthy, he's going to be the guy. Would you not want to get some more reps for Anthony Richardson before the season gets underway?
Yes and no. I kind of understand why. I guess in theory they're not playing him because that will require you also to play your second stringers as well. And if you don't want to get those guys dinged up, and keep in mind, outside of the quarterback position, a lot of the second stringers will play and be big contributors for you on game day. You don't want to get those guys dinged up or banged up, especially as you're finally starting to get healthy a bit. So I understand it in theory, but I will still follow up with Shane Steichen, or one of us will, later today, because I just want to hear what he has to say about that, considering that you're saying he needs to sit and learn, but at the same time, here's an opportunity for him to go out there and learn on the field. And as I've told you all, I hate mental reps. I don't believe that they're really effective. I mean, you can mentally do whatever you want to until you actually play the game. So I'm very curious to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me.
I don't get it at all.
He should be playing Saturday afternoon. I get
even if it's like beyond the twos, if he's with the threes or fours or whatever.
He needs
That's
a
fair.
red jersey to stay in the locker. He needs to be exposed to live game settings. I don't care who's around him, who's not. Defenses are lining up, and you feel like he needs to be better in that area, in line of scrimmage stuff and checks and audibles and cadences and, all of those things. Hey, timing up motions correctly. Like, that's where he needs to get better. And when he's running the scout team offense in practice with a red jersey on, it's nowhere near the same. So I definitely hear where you're coming from, James, but I don't understand what the Colts are doing.
I agree 100%, Kevin. Here's one for you as the fan text line is open this morning, 239-1070. Chris Ballard checking in this morning, guys. What do you put the over-under on for starts for Anthony Richardson this year? He's thinking 3.
Yeah, I have to interact with the real Chris Ballard, so I'll let you give your opinion on that.
Welcome to radio, James.
Welcome to
Well, Daniel
my
Jones,
life.
the back of Daniel Jones's baseball card would say about 3, right? Daniel Jones has probably missed right around that many games annually in his career. So, if you were setting an Anthony Richardson games over under, I don't know, Vegas would probably set it at like 2.5.
Yeah, I believe of his first 6 seasons, he's only finished one of them without being injured or benched. So there should be some room in theory for Anthony Richardson to play again.
Do you think he is better than Anthony Richardson, or he's just more consistent?
Consistent.
I don't think he's better. Yeah, consistency has not led to a lot of success for him outside of that one season when they went to the playoffs with the Giants. When I think they went, 9-6-1 or 9-7-1. And, okay, I just don't see how you can tell me a guy who's 20 games under 500, who's had 85 total touchdowns versus 73 total turnovers in his first 70 games of his career, is this much better than the young guy you drafted. Now, if you believe that, you should go and play with him. What it is.
We will find out what happens throughout the year. I will go over 2.5, but under 3.5. So I think 3. That's what I would predict. 3 starts for Anthony Richardson this year. 3.5 feels a little too high for me.
Mark, you grunted over there.
That was a very cop-out answer, I feel like.
I told you what I thought it was going to be. What do you want?
I know.
I do wonder this, though.
I mean, Kevin set it at 3.5, which is the correct setting in my mind.
If Richardson does play 3 games like Jeff predicts, my question then would be, okay, if he gets in for a game and he performs fairly well, what does that mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you put him in, you win a game, and then you go right back to Daniel Jones. That'll be a interesting transition. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Brace yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Brace yourself.
What if the offense is doing okay with Daniel Jones, but he gets necked up,
high ankle sprain,
goes out, Anthony Richardson comes out, and all of a sudden the offense is, boom, 38 points in a game or something like that. And you're like, whoa.
Did you not hear Shane Steichen commit to Daniel Jones for the entire 2025 season?
I heard him commit to Joe Flacco last year, and that didn't last very long.
Yeah, I mean, he made that statement twice in a matter of a month with Anthony Richardson's our guy, and we believe in him. He's our quarterback of the future and for the season, and then that ended, and then it went to Joe Flacco. He's our quarterback. He's our guy for the season, and then that ended, and then went back to Anthony Richardson. I was like, wait a second. Now he's the quarterback of the future. So, yeah, I will say
I believe that as much as I believe in my six-pack.
Yeah, I do think that there are instances throughout Shane's tenure where now there's enough evidence to kind of push back on some of the things he said and say, wait a second, should we believe you?
Six-pack's there. You just got to find it again. Yeah, you're right. Mark, you've got questions this morning. Hopefully we've got stuff that'll scratch that itch for you. What do you have for us?
He's got questions.
How about a game?
They've got answers.
Hey, I'm more of a cornhole man myself.
Sports, music, movies. What? High fashion.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
And everything in between.
You ever seen a foot with 4 toes?
It's time to get a glimpse into the mind of Mark Dykton.
Stop it, you're scaring me.
It's time for I Gotta Know.
Okay, you punk. I want a good, clean fight. Let's get it on.
Well, we're on the Anthony Richardson and Colts conversation, so let's keep it here with this one. Will Anthony Richardson be with the Colts at the end of this season?
I'll say yes.
And how confident are you in that answer?
I don't know, 1 to 10 scale, 6.8. I just don't think there's a lot of merit to Richardson demanding a trade and or the Colts necessarily going down that path in season. Don't you get better as a quarterback when you don't play, right? Around the league, isn't that what happened to Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones didn't play, and now all of a sudden he's better.
My thought for the question was if a quarterback gets injured around the league and a team is searching,
but why would you search for a dude that seemingly can't learn a playbook in 3 years?
You know how coaches work in the NFL. I can fix him. He can do well in my system. I can get the best out of him.
But again, the trade deadline is the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
So, later in the year, you obviously can't move him. He's still under team control for next year. He's still under contract no matter what for 2026. So, I will opt for after the season, but feel free to disagree.
I think Chris Ballard's going to be stubborn, and he's going to try to hang on to Anthony Richardson because I don't think Daniel Jones is going to blow the socks off anyone this year. I also, to the trade deadline point, is going to be around. Plus, what are you going to get for him at this point in time? Well, who's really going to give up like a 5th and a 6th or a 6th and a 7th for Anthony Richardson at this point in time?
Probably get a really good ham sandwich right now for him.
I think he's the Colts to try and still worry about and develop. And if they really mean that, and one thing we know about Chris Ballard, he's stubborn, but there might be a bigger question is Chris Ballard still around at the end of the year if it doesn't go well with Daniel Jones?
Yeah, so the question is, will he be here at the end of the season?
Yes. Will he stick through the entire regular season?
I think he will, and I think, to Kevin's point from yesterday, your best opportunity to perhaps show that you can still play in the NFL, be your starting caliber quarterback, is to remain in the system that you have kind of grown up in throughout the years, and knowing Daniel Jones' injury history, he isn't the most durable guy either. You might get a chance to show your stuff again later this year. The question then becomes, Mark, is he here after the season? And that, to me, is a much more different answer and possibly has more outcomes there because if he wants out, I would not blame him necessarily.
More likely the Colts make the playoffs or get a top 5 pick?
Make the playoffs.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer for him.
Yeah, I would say make the playoffs. And I say this because not necessarily I'm like sold on what the Colts are doing. I just think that they've kind of been right there, Mark, the last couple of years in a division that still isn't, filled with juggernauts. I know Houston has kind of owned it the last couple of years, but they're not like some invincible team to me. And the Colts think internally, if we just get average QB play with the improved defense and with the talent we have on offense outside of quarterback, we should be okay.
Yeah, there's no way they're going top 5. I don't think this is going to be a disaster of a season. There's too much talent all around the place. I think they are better defensively. They've got a lot of talent on offense. And, if Daniel Jones can just dink and dunk this team to move in the sticks and scoring some points, I still think they're going to win 8 or 9 football games. I don't think they can win a playoff game, but I don't think they're going to be a disaster and have a top 5 pick.
All right. Kevin was elbow deep in a porta potty earlier this week to fetch sunglasses out at Sausage Fest.
I think wrist deep is probably more the accurate.
All right. Kevin was shoulder deep in a porta potty. My question to you guys is,
pulling himself back up out of it at the
let's
end of
say
the
it's
week.
not sunglasses, but if you had money on you and you drop money in the porta potty, what denomination does it have to be for you to go in and get it?
I don't leave money behind, so if I drop any bill, I'm going. It's change.
A $1 bill, you're going in?
Yeah.
He's
got to go out and do the nickel pitch after he gets out of the porta
Yeah,
potty.
I
He
was
can't
about
be
to
losing
say,
that dollar.
Nah, but I don't even drop money. But I would probably have to say, if it's like $5, I'm going to get it.
$5. There you go.
How about that? That might be more ridiculous than what I did.
Yeah, you went. At least they're $15
Well, I
sunglasses.
told you I would go get my glasses. I just wouldn't tell anybody.
James is one of the very
publicly.
few people who sided with me.
Yeah, those people are liars. Like, you're not leaving your glasses.
Well, you
behind.
also didn't preface that they're prescription, that they had the flippers or whatever. You should have said that. Jeff and Kevin, where are you going? Kevin's doing it for
I still think
Kevin drops a
buck
dime
might
and
get
he's
me to
diving
reach in and get my dollar.
I was going to say a penny.
Money too hard to make. No, man, $1. Change, you can keep that because I don't use it, but $1, yeah, I'm going to get it.
It's got to be at least a 5 for me. At least a 5.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, guys, if you want to paint a little bit more vivid imagery here, you know how soggy that $5
You got to spend that
bill's
dollar
looking?
instantly.
All of a sudden,
It ain't going to be with me for very long, but it's
that
going to
green
get spent.
tint ain't green at all when you're pulling that thing back out of there. Are you drying it off? What do you do? The old plastic sunglasses is a little different than the old soggy, feces written dollar bill.
You got to do like the money laundering thing where you put it in the dryer and let it roll around.
Yeah, they got some water around there. I keep a bottle in the car, just run it off. And
It's funny you bring that up, Mark.
Let
I
it air
started
dry.
watching Ozark a couple of days ago.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we should do an experiment where we throw like a $5 bill in one of those and just see how long it takes before somebody actually.
I will let you
takes
do
that thing
that
out.
with your own money.
No.
I'm not throwing 5s down the toilet. All right, a Florida man was tired of being considered short throughout his life, and he went to Turkey and got limb lengthening surgery where they broke both of his legs and extended his height 3 whole inches. My question to you guys is, if you could add 3 inches to any part of your life, what would it be?
To any part of my what?
Life. Don't want to say body. Like I would 3 inches to I'll add 3 inches to my vertical. I'll be Spud Webb. I'll be dunking on fools.
Yeah, vertical would be nice.
If you want to add it anywhere else, Kevin, you go right ahead.
No, I don't think 3 inches is going to do a lot, honestly, for me. I don't think it'll help me out too much. Chris chiming in here. He goes, little sister drunk at IU football tailgate back in 2015 dropped cell phone into the porta potty right next to fraternity row.
Oh, boy.
Clawed it
disgusting.
out. Phone was broken.
Yeah.
Wait, broken because it was like
double whammy.
wet?
I don't know. Probably stuff leaks
I'm
into
gonna
the
say the old
to the phone.
SIM card got
Yeah.
some things on it that just.
That's tough.
Chris, empathy.
Lord have mercy. For clarification, my sister drunk clawed it out, not me. Well, take one
There
for
you
the
go.
team, I guess, in her regard.
I like the vertical mark. Again, 3 inches isn't going to help me in some
I'll
other
probably
areas.
take height at that point. I'm 5'10". If I was over 6 feet, that'd be cool. But
I'll take 3 inches from Kevin. Make him an even 6, and then.
I'm gonna say anywhere else, I think I'm all right.
Oh. Okay, James. All right, there. Jeff, where are you adding 3 inches?
I take 3 inches onto my bank statement with all the incoming money on that side of the ledger. That's what I'd take.
There you
an
go.
extra extra couple of inches on right there.
All right. Last but not least, what are we watching? I started watching Peacemaker for the first time. Season 2 drops today. Hadn't watched the first season, so Ashley and I were watching the first couple episodes yesterday. It was quite entertaining with John Cena and everything. Very, very adult. Definitely adult. Can't watch with the kids around, but it was quite good.
I started watching. By the way, why is 317-239-1070 calling me right now?
That's interesting.
See who it is.
I started watching Quarterback, and I think I kind of like Kirk Cousins.
His Cole's Cash and everything.
Have you guys watched it yet? Season 2?
I've not. I watched the first season, and he was on that one as well.
Right.
And that was him, he was being kind of weird. But I've heard he's kind of lovable in a way.
And am I just falling into the trap of the backup quarterback you love? Is that just what it is?
No, I think he's actually a very high character person.
He's very
honestly.
genuine too. I find him to be very genuine. He's kind of very motivational, motivating himself, trying to motivate other people's, but it comes from, I think, a really genuine place. And I've been watching it now for 2 seasons, and I have grown to like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I need to watch season 2. I did watch the Bills' Hard Knocks so far. That's been pretty good. I've enjoyed that very much.
Gosh, I totally forgot that they were the Hard Knocks team.
I started watching Alien Earth because of Mark. I have no idea what's going on. It's on Hulu, but I am locked in at this point. And I also watched.
It is confusing.
There's
a lot going on. We're like, wait, who's a human? Who's not?
Yeah, and then I also watched, like I told you all, Landman. So I would highly recommend anybody who hasn't seen it yet to go check that out.
Mark, I told you I started watching Ozark. I'm about 4 episodes into it right now. That first couple of episodes, man, there's some head turners right there.
Is this your start to it?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I just never had the chance to watch.
Is this a you watch? Are the boys watching it with you, or how did that go?
He just bought the club is where I'm at.
Okay.
Gosh, I'm a little jealous of you.
Yeah.
You watching this with your son's wife?
No, this is in the evening. She's been watching this show with Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda, so I go downstairs and I watch Ozark.
All right.
Wow, Kirk Cousins is a producer on that quarterback show? Really, Alex? Huh.
I'll make myself look great too then.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I'll be in every season. Sure. Give me that money.
No wonder
GMs.
he agreed to do it for a second year in a row.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. All right, that's all I got now.
All right, appreciate that. And now we've sated Mark's curiosity for at least another week on things of that nature. In the meantime, you want to give us a call, now's the time to do it, 239-1070. You just got a phone call from 239-1070 and still again? What's going on there?
Dialing me back.
Huh.
Answer the phone.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who's calling you from that 239-1070 number. Are you afraid to?
The phone call is coming from inside the house is what is happening right now.
I don't.
This is going to be like I know what you did last summer.
Is this going to make for excellent radio?
I don't know.
Hello.
I hope it's not.
Anybody there?
Something
Hello?
inappropriate.
Mark's got a dump button. We're good. No.
I got nobody there.
Nothing there.
This is Mark's burner.
Have you ever had that happen before?
Yeah, someone usually calls me from Jake's number whenever Jake's on air.
Interesting.
Somebody at the phone company messing with you, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the phone company or if it's some listener that enjoys pranks.
Interesting that they can get that to show up as any number that they want, though. I got to find that program.
James, one-handed grab by Jelani Woods yesterday at practice. Is he making this team?
No, I don't think so. I think he's had a couple of moments, and I did get a chance to talk to him in the locker room about that catch in the preseason game against Green Bay, and he was like, it was a catch, and obviously as a player involved, you're going to say that, and I would honestly probably agree with him. But I think it's a little bit too late for him to kind of make some of these plays. I think that the other 4 tight ends, those being Tyler Warren, Mo Cox, Will Mallory, and Drew Ogletree, have been more consistent throughout training camp. So I would give my 4 tight end spots to those guys.
Boy, I do feel bad for Jelani Woods because, after that play, James, it looked like he was maybe a hair gimpy, but I think he stayed in practice. And I was reminded, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's missed a practice.
No, he's been out there.
And that, I believe
every
about
day.
his last 2 years. That
hasn't
been
played.
the story.
Yeah.
So he's been healthy. I think he's definitely had some highlight plays.
Yeah.
But he plays a position right now that I just think the first 4 tight ends are pretty clear. So he could be one that you see a lot out there. I know some people thought him or Will Mallory. I think it's Mallory, but we'll see how much he plays on Saturday.
You expect that he'll be around on a practice squad? Or
yeah,
what
do you got? 17 spots in your practice squad.
Yeah.
That's obviously a big number. So
Yeah.
I could easily see him being back here in that capacity. But 53-man roster, I think it's Tyler Warren, I think it's Mo Alley Cox, I think it's Drew Ogletree, and I think it's Will Mallory.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how they apportion all the spots on offense, but you do think 4 tight ends, though, right?
Yeah, I think 4 tight ends, and assuming the Ashton Doolin injury isn't anything of note, I think it's 6 wideouts that are pretty clear. So, running back, I get into like James, when we get into waiver claims next week, like to me, pass catching running back is still a question mark. I trust Jonathan Taylor to catch the football as much as you trust me to go into the porta potty and stay clean. And so I don't know.
I think DJ Giddens is on a little bit coming out of the backfield. I'll give him that.
You want a rookie in there on third down for 17 games?
There might be their option, honestly.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's
fair. Okay.
Could that be waiver claim? Is there something that you look at? Offensive tackle, and then, linebacker and safety. I think, but when I've done the 53-man roster cut down so far, linebacker and safety, I really find it difficult. Honestly, linebacker probably more than safety. The Hunter Wooler injuries probably made it pretty obvious at safety. You keep Rodney Thomas, you keep Daniel Scott as your backups, and you move on.
All right, we'll talk more about how they're going to parse out positions to the final roster in a few minutes, but also we'll open up the phone lines for the first time this morning. Coming up in a moment, we'll talk to Scott, Dave, Quentin, and more, 239-1070. We've got Scott Agnes on the way coming up at 8:30. Jake Seeley to talk fantasy football from The Athletic at 9:30. Bronson Reed, Mark Dykton, coming in at 9:45, at least on the phone. Can we fit him through the doorway if he comes in?
He'd have to come in sideways, I'm pretty sure. He is a large fellow.
All right, we'll do it all as we continue on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Thursday. If you're on your way to work today, have a great day. Anything else you might be doing, hope you enjoy that as well. We're going to be here all morning long at 239-1070 on the Fan text line. You can also call us up, and we'll get to those in just a second. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, I'm Jeff Rickard, and Mark Dykton, who can't stand waiting until his world gets rocked at 9:45 this morning.
Boy, that could mean a number of things, but yeah. Bronson Reed, WWE
He always
superstar.
goes there, does he not, James?
Hey,
no matter
I'll
what you
stand out of
say,
this one.
that's where he goes.
I mean, I'm happy to get my world rocked 24/7, but the stamina part might be an issue. No, Bronson Reed joining us, WWE superstar, going to talk about the new WWE Premium Live event coming to Indianapolis on Saturday, September 20th. So looking forward to that.
All right. Indy Dave has a great question before we take a phone call here. Says the only good reason not to start AR on Saturday is that you want him to be healthy for a trade. Thoughts on that, Kevin? I can't see that right now. Can you?
I think that's just kind of a soft way to look at it. So again, what are you getting for him? Mid-round pick at best,
if that.
So
Fifth,
yeah,
sixth,
there is a decent to better than decent chance he's going to play for you here in 2025, given your quarterback situation. Daniel Jones's history would indicate that. So I did see this too. I thought it was a good point here from, or just an interesting question from Raymond. Raymond asked, the decision to draft Anthony Richardson 4th overall, who's responsible? James, he lays out the percentages, which I would disagree with, but he lays them out in this order. 70% Jim Irsay, 20% Chris Ballard, 10% Shane Steichen.
The 70% on Jim Irsay seems high to me.
I think the 10% on Shane Steichen is insanely low.
Yeah, but I don't hate that kind of way to look at it because there is blame, I think, to be had for everyone involved. And I think right now, the framing of all of this has been, well, Anthony can't stay healthy. And even listening to Cam Turner, the Colts quarterback coach yesterday, he's saying the consistency, it just wasn't there. And I've done everything I can for him. He's done everything he can for himself too, but it's just not there. So when I asked, I think it was Cam, same thing I asked Shane, what could you have done to help this development get better? And he mentioned some of the durability issues. And I'm like, wait a second, this cannot be your cop-out answer. He got hurt. Yes, we know that, but behind the scenes, which is everything you guys are talking about, why was that not addressed? He was a team captain twice, and then you benched him because he wasn't working hard enough, to kind of paraphrasing there. So that's an indictment on whatever you all allowed to be the norm. So I just can't get behind that thinking at all.
And it is kind of wild when you go back to 2023 and you hear what they coveted in a quarterback with that 4th overall pick. Chris Ballard often mentioned accuracy. Shane Steichen, again, history with Jalen Hurts, history with Justin Herbert, even history with Phillip Rivers. Of course, they didn't draft Rivers. But, he would point out obsession with the craft. Quality quarterbacks can come in all different shapes and sizes. I think we see that in the NFL, but you got to have that obsession with your craft. And right now, obsession with your craft and accuracy would probably be two of the biggest question marks you have with Anthony Richardson. It is just kind of wild that that was the guy that they settled on or were content with is probably the better way to put it with the 4th pick. But yeah, Raymond, I would say Shane Steichen at 10%, that one especially much, much higher.
So Jay asks, what would be a good trade for AR? Like what right now, if someone called Chris Ballard, what would be the deal that Chris Ballard would have to say, yeah, okay?
I don't know. What is his value?
I don't know what his value is right now.
A 5th-round pick, a 4th-round pick?
I would say a day 2 pick.
Yeah, if someone came
in
said
round 2 or 3, and I'm thinking it in this light, that gives you a little ammo to potentially move up next year if you need to move up in the draft. Right now you just have all your baseline picks for next year's draft class. But Trey Lance went for a 4th rounder, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you start to get in the day 3 picks, and I'm of the thinking of if Daniel Jones does have a season-ending injury, which unfortunately he has had those in his career, or misses a chunk of time, I'd probably rather see one more month-long, 2-month-long crack at Anthony Richardson than Riley Leonard playing as a rookie, or them going out and signing. Is there still a McCown that plays football in the NFL? Go signing one of the McCown brothers.
There's got to be a nephew out there somewhere.
To, be your quarterback for a month, or, Mitchell Trubisky, or, somebody along those lines. So just like the weight of the draft pick starts to really lessen for me as you get into 4 and 5 and 6 and 7.
Let's go to the phone lines for the first time this morning. 239-1070 is the number. We'll start with Scott. You're up on the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff. Make it happen.
Hey, appreciate you guys taking my call this morning. Two-parter for you. One's a question and one's more of a thought. The question is, with them going to Daniel Jones this year, do you think they'd be willing to have like a 2 to 3 play package for AR each week? I mean, if you're not going to start him, you might as well utilize his skill set in some fashion. And my thought is that I've been a Colts fan. I'm 31. I've been a diehard Colts fan my whole life. Cannot stand when fans boo the players in the teams at the games. Can't stand it. And I feel like if the fans are going to be any representation of what we've seen on social media, Daniel Jones is going to be catching flack from week 1, and I feel awful for him. Thanks, guys.
Well, appreciate that, Scott. And honestly, I say this tongue-in-cheek. For Daniel Jones, if they boo you, you just think, I got $14 million, so life is great still. But I kind of get what you're saying. You do want some of that positive energy going into week 1, but you know how fan bases are. They express themselves, and I don't know what kind of reception he'll get when it comes to week 1. However, to your point about the package for Anthony Richardson, that does intrigue me. I would probably say no, because I just think that the optics of putting the guy in for a couple of snaps, and in my mind, it would be near the goal line, which does entice me. I mean, I'm thinking of a backfield with Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren, and I'm like, how do you not score from like the 2-yard line? However, if it gets to a point where, let's say they got down there a couple of times in week 1 or week 2 or whatever, and Anthony has, I don't know, 3 touchdowns on the season, and Daniel Jones does not have that many going into whatever game, that would be an interesting development. So I think they always kind of tease that. And even last year, Shane Steichen
never used it, right?
Yeah, he never ruled it
Flacco.
out, but it never happened.
Yeah.
So I think it's sort of a pipe dream.
No, I think it's a great question. And
I don't hate the theory, though.
No, I am very curious about it. But again, last year they did not use it. Like I was on with John yesterday afternoon, and if this was a college program, you almost would definitely see it happen. Like the college program always uses the running quarterback, and I don't know if it's a little bit of a hey, let's appease the guy because the portal can be calling at any minute there. But Jones definitely has a little bit more of a leg element than Flacco, for example. So I am interested about that. The whole fans booing, I think it's always one of the more polarizing topics, like in general. Home fans booing your own team, whatever. IU fans, basketball-wise, you saw it last year. Mm-hmm. And that debate, to me, the booing of Jones wouldn't be so much that you're booing Daniel Jones, the human or the football player. It's more of you're booing the operational failure the organization has had at the most important position in sports. Which, again, boos are boos, so...
I was going to say, he ain't going to... Man, they will boo that man possibly because they don't like him as the organizational development or the organizational choice.
Right. They don't like how the organization has failed that position.
Okay, fair.
But...
Chris Ballard's not running on that field. Daniel Jones is, so they're going to boo him and say, well, this is actually our frustrations of the front office.
Oh, okay. I see what you're all saying.
Thank you, Mark.
All right.
Thank you, Mark.
That makes sense.
I don't know. I probably
I
always
don't think they're going to boo. Like, I don't know if they're going to boo, like, straight out the gate. You think so?
I think an early incompletion, an early 3-and-out, an early turnover, you're going to hear some.
Yeah, I meant, like, moment he comes out the tunnel, they're running down the field, and he's just like, boo. I'm like, come on.
Probably best to announce the defense.
That's what Tom was suggesting, on the text line.
If you were
I hadn't thought about that.
If you were the Colts. But
DeForest Buckner.
I guess to play the whole, should your home fans be allowed to boo?
Yes.
I largely think if you've paid the money to be in that seat,
absolutely,
you show your passion whichever means you want to.
Absolutely. Dave's up next here on the 239-1070 fan line. Go ahead, Dave. You're up.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much. Good morning to you. I'm not nearly as smart about the Colts or follow them anywhere like you guys, but just a couple observations. One, I feel bad for Mr. Richardson, and I think drafting the tight end, I think a tight end is so critical right now that really would have helped kind of a young, unproven quarterback, because I think that guy's going to be exceptional. But my reason I called is that I watched that quarterbacks show the second season where they had Joe Burrow, they had Kirk Cousins, and they had Ryan Reynolds, the quarterback from Detroit, and Jared
Goff.
No, I know, but he looks exactly like Ryan Reynolds. I kept thinking that that's
I thought that's
Ryan
where you were
Reynolds.
going,
That's
but I
really
want to make
funny.
sure.
Yeah,
My wife's going to watch that show now.
That's well, and she should. Anyway, my question was, I'm watching this, and I'm watching Joe Burrow throw 350 yards in like 9 straight games, and they have a losing record because they're losing every game 40-33. And about the 9th game, they show him talking to the Cincinnati's defensive coordinator, who I look at him. I said to my wife, "Hey, isn't that our new defensive coordinator that just gave up NBA style points on a football team?" And so my question to you is that, yeah, I know he had some good previous games, but what was really the thinking of a guy who got let go because arguably the MVP from last year put up these numbers and couldn't win because the defense was so bad? And so it's just kind of a question to you guys, and I'll get off the line. Thanks for taking my call. It's really a great way to start the morning for me.
I appreciate the phone call. Thanks very much, Dave. And Kevin, I'll start with you. It's been a rough couple of seasons defensively for the Cincinnati Bengals. What was the appeal for Luana?
Great call, Dave. Dave just went to a variety of areas
That
with
was
that.
funny.
And yes,
He does look like Ryan Reynolds.
I also feel like low-key Dave knows a lot more about football than he's letting on.
I will echo. Yeah, I think Maddie now is going to be all quarterback season 2. Yes, let's dial that up. Jared Goff, I believe, a very
What do you
nice.
mean? I look at this face. I see Ryan Reynolds every morning.
Jared Goff, a very nice significant other, by the way, if I must say so myself. There. Could not agree more on the Tyler Warren front. Let me start there in terms of what Dave was saying there right out of the gate. Yeah, the Anarumo thing, clearly it was a disaster in Cincinnati. And now the question becomes, and you see this at times around the NFL, did personnel fall out of favor there? They let some of their defensive players walk to make room for the offensive guys. Is that something that was at play here? But yeah, I think it is concerning that you had the best sacker in the NFL in Trey Hendrickson and your defense looked like that. Now, again, systematically, I think it was time for the change. Philosophically, I think it's important the Colts do have more aggression on the back end, play more man coverage, disguise more, be more week-to-week game planning, all of those things. But, he was available for a reason there. And is this one of those things where, hey, 6 years of the same voice, it eventually runs out? Is that kind of the NFL shelf life of, sometimes you see coaches and systems where, yeah, it's more of a 3 or 4 year thing, and then you got to move on. And, particularly those safeties in Cincinnati, people pointed to Jesse Bates, for example, the Fort Wayne product, a lot when he was with Cincinnati. They were a Super Bowl defense and were kind of the Mahomes kryptonite, if you will, during the playoffs. And then he left, and it quickly went the other way.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with just personnel. When you get rid of great players, or at least good players in a system, your system usually kind of suffers after that. I think that is largely, in a nutshell, the narrative that I've heard, not only from people here in Indianapolis, but talking to folks and talking to former beat writers, not former, but current beat writers who covered the former Cincinnati DC in Cincy. And so my guy, Paul Dehner Jr., who covers the Bengals for The Athletic, he was telling me a lot of it had to do with just the lack of talent that they were able to retain in free agency, and obviously it took a huge hit.
Speaking of defensive personnel, I will say, James, we're now 2 days into the Xavier Howard era. Speaking of Lou Anarumo, I thought he made it clear yesterday that was a huge reason why he is here in Indy. Lou was his position coach the first 2 years of Xavier in the NFL down in Miami, and that was part of the reason why he joined the Colts. And I would say largely he's done a nice job in the practice field. Hasn't been, exposed too much. And again, he's your starting third corner. There's little debate about that here through the first 2 days. But I did have to, I would say I was pretty intrigued when I saw pre-snap Alec Pierce lined up opposite him yesterday, and it didn't look like there was any safety over the top at all. And I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, I've seen this song and dance before. It usually doesn't end well for the cornerback. Is it going to end well right here for Xavier Howard? And sure enough, it did not. Pierce, a bit of a welcome back to the NFL moment, which we've seen Alec Pierce cook some big-time corners in his NFL career, and he cooked Xavier Howard big time on that play. So, again, I largely think it's been pretty good for him through the first 2 days of practice, but I still feel like Pierce has that presence where opposing corners look at him and they're like, yeah, man, you can't run by me. And then, boom, he gets the last laugh, and he seemingly always catches deep ball. Beautiful ball by Daniel Jones, too, for the big play yesterday in practice.
All right, one more phone call before we hit the check down. Quentin, you're up next here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Go for it.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I was just wondering, my question is, here's my scary situation is, say Daniel Jones does good enough to get us into a wild card spot, and then we just get completely blown out by a team because we just had no business being there. Do you think that would give the Irsay girls enough hope to give Ballard another chance? And then I had one other thing to say as far as, like, just an opinion. I don't understand, like, all the Richard apologists out there because, I mean, Andrew Luck gave it his all, and that man got booed out of the stadium, and yet you got people out here apologizing for this quarterback who taps out of games, and I just don't get it. So,
James, I'll let you start with that one.
Yeah, I think Quentin makes a very good point. I'll start with the latter point about Anthony Richardson. And, yeah, I don't think that he's necessarily like this blameless victim here. Now, my argument this morning has been that other people need to be looking in the mirror as well, but again, the tap out is probably the most famous play of his career, especially on a national scale. And it is hard to live that down. And I think that, looking back at it, that's certainly an inflection point in Anthony Richardson's career. And if he'll ever recover from it, we'll have to wait and see. So I don't necessarily blame Quentin and others saying, like, look, man, we had a quarterback that, the previous two, at least the two franchise quarterbacks, Andrew Luck, played through God knows what. And then, Peyton Manning, he was pushed out because of a neck injury that he wanted to play through. So to tap out because you're tired, that's a hard one to live down. Now, getting back to your point about Chris Ballard and if they make the playoffs and get blown out, would that be enough? I'm not necessarily sure that it would be, honestly, because at that point, you have to really, I think, look at your franchise and say, what are we actually competing for? Is it just to end a 4-year playoff drought, or are we trying to reach for something higher and be what they used to be, which was a perennial contender? Not a perennial borderline playoff team. If we get in, whoop-de-doo, great. But no, when they got in with Peyton Manning during those years, and even with Andrew Luck for a few years, it was, we can win this thing. And I don't think that would be the case, obviously, if that were to play out the way that Quentin kind of played it out with Daniel Jones being the guy and then getting blown out in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I got little to add, honestly, on both those fronts. I thought you hit the nail on the head there, James. And who was that? Quentin? Quentin called it scary there to start. I mean, that is probably it to me. I'm fascinated.
It'd be the most Colts season ever
to watch it happen because I just don't know how it would happen or how it would unfold. But yeah, I think that is a real scary thought. And again, the Vikings had kind of a similar situation with Cousins and then with Darnold. And both times, they opted for J.J. McCarthy. So, that's probably the most recent example of it in the NFL that would be the closest, I guess, to apples. Obviously, the Colts wouldn't have their McCarthy necessarily on their roster. Theoretically, they would have that waiting for them in the 2026 draft. But, yeah, the Daniel Jones financial decision has to come quicker and more substantial than the Anthony Richardson one. I think that's one that people maybe don't fully realize.
Wait, run that back one more time.
The Daniel Jones financial decision has to come quicker and would be more substantial than the Anthony Richardson one. Anthony Richardson is under team control through 2026. Yes, you have a 5th-year option on him to make, but that's just a 1-year deal.
Right.
It's just a 1-year pickup or no. The Jones thing, if he plays good football for you, what did Justin Fields get with the Jets last year?
I want to say he got at least $20 million a year.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just play that out. Somebody's giving Daniel Jones 3 years and $20 million annually.
Yeah, Justin Fields signed for 2 years, $40 million.
Okay, so 2 for 40, 3 for 60. That's more than what Anthony Richardson's financial decision is at the end of the year. So,
which means Daniel Jones better look really good.
Well,
again, because I go back to look what happened to him in New York.
Again,
he had that
if he
great
looks really
2022
good,
season.
Then do you give him regrettable money?
That's my point. Because look what the Giants did in 2022. He had that great year. They gave him a 4-year deal for $160 million.
Fool's gold.
And it was never, ever even close to the same again. You don't want to put yourself in that position.
So would you pay him, Jeff? Like if you were in that position, you make the playoffs, you get blown out, but you win 10 games, would you pay him?
I could go 2 years and maybe 40, something like that, but no longer than that.
Fair.
But that's Quentin's point, and that's what's scary about it. And James, before the question is, do you pay him? Is Chris back for a 10th year? Is Shane
That's
back
also
for a
true.
fourth year?
Yeah.
Like, that's where you start first.
But, okay, so my thinking is if you're all in that same vacuum, and let's just play this out because we're down this road already, they make the playoffs with Daniel Jones. They go 10-7. They get blown out in the wild card round, whatever. Chris Ballard is back. Shane Steichen is back. Do you pay Daniel Jones? That, to me, is a very interesting question because
it is a fascinating
if you let
question.
him walk, you also have to answer to the rest of your team and say, well, we got back to the playoffs, and the guy who took you there, we said he's not good enough, and we're going to start over again. Oh, by the way, we still have Anthony Richardson, but we'll blow dust off of him and see if he can go. Like, where do you go from there? Because that's my thing is, like, what is your next option? And it has to be a better option than Daniel Jones. So it is quite a conundrum. But
look at the whole situation in Washington and then in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins, and Cousins is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. But I just think it's a very interesting conversation to have if he does end up being the best quarterback you've had, say, since Phillip Rivers, which I don't think is going to be the case. But if it is, wow.
And, James, my response to that would be this.
Like sands
like
through the
sands
hourglass.
through the hourglass, so are the days of our
Welcome
lives.
to the Indianapolis Colts and the quarterback position. Some very attractive women I remember on that show back in the day. My mom was obsessed with it.
Oh, yeah. Days of Our Lives, Sears Catalog. It had it all back then for a young boy.
14-year-old Kevin was like, yeah, Mom, let's watch that TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Get home from school, be sick for the day, watch Passions on NBC. That was a weird one.
Of course, Mark's got the full Rolodex ready.
Yeah.
Should we check it down?
Let's check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We'll start with the Indianapolis Colts. Daniel Jones getting all the reps now as the starter in practice. We saw Xavier Howard on the field, as Kevin talked about just a few moments ago. Anything else notable from practice yesterday that we need to know about?
Just, again, a lot of the injury updates. Again, getting some guys back. I think the biggest ones were probably, for me, Jalen Jones, Juju Brents.
Yeah, great
back
news
from the
for him.
hamstring injuries. And obviously that is very good considering that the season opener is like, almost 2 weeks away at this point.
And the preseason finale comes your way Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. kickoff. It'll be in Cincinnati. You can listen to the game live right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan with all the pregame and postgame around it. And we look forward to another at least eventful days of our lives type season for the Indianapolis Colts. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever off again today. They will be practicing. They're back on the court for real tomorrow night against the Minnesota Lynx. And a little bit of an update coming up in a few minutes from Scott Agnes on Caitlin Clark and how this team moves forward in light of just a series of injuries that are just, you would think would kill most teams, and they're still hanging in there somehow, James.
They are, but obviously they're hanging on by a thread. We'll have to see how the WNBA standings shake out. They have some big games coming up. Right now, the Fever are in 6th place, and as a reminder, the first or top 8 teams make the playoffs in the W.
All right, and we'll look forward to that. We'll have the game for you tomorrow night right here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. 7:30 tip against the Lynx, and the Fan pregame show with Eddie Garrison comes your way at 7:15. We can tell you that the Cincinnati Reds have seen the end of their 3-game winning streak. They lost to the Angels 2-1 last night, but the Cubs have now won 3 in a row, all 3 over the Milwaukee Brewers.
Let's roll. Get it tonight.
Is that a 6-game difference now between the two teams?
Something like that, yeah. Whittle it down, slowly but surely. Whittle it down. Joel A. Erickson, I want him pacing around Colts camp sweating, not because it's hot, but because his Brewers are letting that lead slip away.
By the way, I'm listening. I don't know, James, if you were out there at practice, listening to Joel A. Erickson, J.J. Stankovitz, Matt Conti go back and forth. I mean, these nerdy baseball people, the stuff they can pull, some of these baseball names they can pull is just unbelievable. I heard a Kevin Millwood drop the other day.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think
the true baseball nerds are awesome.
Kevin, were you in there last year when they like, James, can you name 10 active MLB players?
Because they play that grid game.
Yeah,
do you do the Immaculate Grid, Mark?
No, I have played it before, yes, and I've gotten frustrated with it.
Gosh, and hearing the names they were pulling in that thing, it was truly impressive. I had to remove myself from the conversation.
I think I got to 8 names, and I was trying to phone a friend.
A couple of other baseball notes
Can you
of
name
interest
more
to us.
players on the PGA Tour or more players in Major League Baseball?
Probably Major League Baseball. I mean, I don't think I can name 10 golfers currently off the top of my head.
Get out pen and paper.
We should play that
in
game.
the break. I want to see if you can write down 10 PGA Tour golfers.
I can't, but I mean, I will do it to appease you, but I cannot do
I
this.
think you're underestimating
I think you'll come up
your
with
brain.
10.
Here you go.
All right.
Here's the paper.
Kevin's even got pen and paper for
Here's
you.
the
How about
pen.
that? He brought teaching materials.
Professor Bowen putting you to
I'll
work.
close the laptop for this too.
Did
so you know
not
it's
drop
honest.
any of that in the porta potty. by the
Well,
way.
he's working on
Well,
that.
it's too late now.
I will tell you a couple of names of local interest. Kyle Schwarber hits his 45th home run yesterday for the Phillies as they get an 11-2 win over the Mariners. And how about this? Remember Josh Bell playing a little bit of time over here,
Sure.
Victory Field? He had a big shot yesterday, a solo shot, his 16th, and that helped the Nationals to a 5-4 win over the struggling Mets.
High school football Friday nights. We'll have Greg Rakestraw join us tomorrow, 8 o'clock. LNLC among the marquee matchups here in Week 1. And IndyCar back Milwaukee, the Oval up there. Obviously, Alex Below is your season series winner, but we do get a couple oval races here. Milwaukee, Nashville to end it Sunday afternoon from the Cheese State.
And also, speaking of golf, you got the final PGA Championship tournament this week.
And I see James Boyd's about 7 names deep over there.
See, he's getting it done.
I have one currently.
You still got some to go.
Arnold Palmer, he just wrote down. Very
Yeah,
nice.
Tiger Woods almost made this list, but current players, it's getting spooky already.
We'll check out how James is doing, and we will talk to Scott Agnes next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Pencils down. James Boyd has turned in his assignment to Kevin Bowen. Before the break, if you're just joining us, KB challenged James to name 10 active golfers, and we had full confidence that he would be able to do so.
No, I did not have full confidence.
He has written those names down. He has passed it back to golf nerd Kevin Bowen.
Now, spelling.
How do we do?
If it's spelling, I'm already out.
Boy, shout out to Cherry Tree Elementary. It got me thinking back in the day when we did these mad minutes. You get 60 seconds to do all these multiplications.
I'd be so stressed.
Oh, man. And when they said pencils up or pens up or what, it was probably pencils back then. Okay, so yes, I asked James, could he name 10 PGA Tour players? James, boy, I sound like a teacher. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I told you.
I was so much more optimistic.
I don't know why you were. It took me 15 minutes to get to 10 baseball players. Golf?
We have 8 names on the list here, okay? And these are the 8 names that James Boyd has gone with of PGA Tour golfers. 1, Scotty Scheffler. Mark, can we get a... Mark, you might want to stick around with that button there.
Hold on. Hey, chill.
Number 2 on the list, Phil Mickelson.
Nicholson? Is it Mickelson? I don't know.
Live golfer Phil Mickelson. Number 3, Rory McIlroy.
See, I got the big one.
Number 4, Bryson DeChambeau.
Live.
Now, you want to talk about...
They're all the same to me.
Kevin's arch enemy, too.
You want to say, don't let a guy get hot. 5, Jordan Spieth.
Okay.
6, Justin Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, folks, a blast from the past. The man that used to hit more golf balls than anyone out there, the Fijian, Vijay Singh, number 7.
Wow, where'd you pull that one from?
He still comes around.
I just feel like he's been around for forever.
Is that senior
so
tour?
Kind of know.
He has to be senior tour.
He'll play the occasional tour
And
tournament.
James,
every now and then.
your handwriting lacked a little bit here on number 8. Am I reading this right? Did you say Tiger Hood?
Yeah, Tiger Hood. You never heard him? He was a legend.
Marcus
growing up in my
Dingbat.
household.
So we have 6 of 8 correct
I
there.
told you. Hey,
That's still passing grade.
honestly, it would have been better if you just named 10 golfers, and I probably still couldn't have got it. But I knew at least the main ones, which is Scotty and Rory.
Pulling Vijay
So-
Singh out, though. That's strong.
Vijay Singh is worth a bonus point, is it
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
just
You get
like,
the
hey.
+1 on the top of the paper.
James, thank you for playing along.
Oh yes, there you go. This was basically exactly what happened when it came to baseball. And Mark, you'll appreciate this. I think I mentioned Ben Zobrist before I got to
Look at
Aaron
that.
Judge.
Ooh, that's a good
And I was
pull.
like, is he
Ben
still
Zobrist.
around?
That's a good
World
pull.
Series hero.
Vijay Singh, I love it.
We'll check back in on that a little bit later on. In the meantime, we go to the Payless Liquors hotline right now, where the one and only Scott Agnes from Fieldhouse Files stops by to join us on this Thursday morning. Scott, how many PGA Tour current golfers could you name if Kevin put you to the
he's a
test?
golf guy.
Probably a good dozen.
Okay, that's pretty
Well,
good.
I'll phone a friend next time because I was struggling when I got to maybe 6 there, Scott. It was tough.
Scott, you were all over the story yesterday. You were the one that broke it. We have another Caitlin Clark injury, albeit it doesn't sound like the most severe, but working out in Phoenix a couple weeks ago. Could you share what you broke yesterday in regards to Caitlin Clark's health status?
Yeah, it's a situation where she's just going through her progression to return, was going through a workout there in Phoenix, and what an awful day that ended up becoming, starting with that and then having later in the day in the game, the season-ending injuries to Sydney Colson and Ari McDonald, 2 other point guards. And she just kind of tweaked that left foot ankle area. And so that's been something that's bothered her and that she has now been dealing with for the last couple of weeks and kind of helps explain a little bit more to this story and also is just yet another latest example of how cursed this fever season continues to feel.
Scott, I wanted to play, and this is for our audience as well, but I wanted to play the very short Stephanie White update on Caitlin Clark from yesterday's pre-practice, because to me it's sounding more ominous. We're 2.5 weeks left in the regular season. She didn't practice yesterday. It doesn't sound like she's going to practice today, but this was Stephanie White's update yesterday when asked about Caitlin Clark.
No, I mean, until she can get into practice and until you guys see her in practice, we're really status quo, same as we have been.
Scott, am I reading too much? Is this not sounding good?
No, I think I don't think that's necessarily the case. I don't, KB. I think that's more we're still talking about this type of thing, which is natural. Is to field these questions, and some things you can say, some things you can't, and so
hey, I'll provide an update when there is one. This certainly is an update with this injury. But no, a lot of people, I don't know why, maybe it's just the frustration, but KB, a lot of people have jumped to this conclusion here, just with 9 games left and this latest thing. Oh, she's done. No, we're never going to see her. Are you kidding? Do you know how competitive Caitlin is? Like, no, she is fighting like heck to get back as soon as possible. Within reason, obviously.
Yeah,
So
I'm not doubting that. I
would not rule anything out here. I think the hope, as I put in my story, is that she rejoins practice next week. But they don't know that yet. That is the hope, I think.
Okay, yeah. It just seems like time is ticking a bit. If she rejoins next week, I guess, what does that give her? 1 week left in the regular season?
It all depends on what she and the team feels she needs. Like when we mentioned practice time, I mean, obviously we're not saying 5 days a week of practice, and maybe she could get in. How much, can she get in with the coaches and the practice guys, in different sessions? We see the Pacers utilize that too. What classifies, I guess, as a practice, right? So I'm leaning more on, yes, she'll need some practice time, but more than anything, the medical staff would obviously have to clear her, and then Caitlin would have to be comfortable with her body and the way in which she's moving out there. But, yeah, there's not significant practice time, but there's enough to make it possible for sure.
Scott, obviously, beyond just Caitlin Clark, the big injury news for this team was the loss of Sophie Cunningham for the season due to a right knee injury. From a morale standpoint, how do you think this team will recover? And then from a play standpoint, how big of a loss is that, considering that is their third ball handler that has been lost for the season?
Yeah, this is significant, right? And the thing I was asking even about, because it goes beyond the court, is she's their vocal leader out there. She's the one that almost won't shut up to a fault that she even shares. Like, she is constantly talking, communicating, making sure players are in the right spot, making sure if there's a misunderstanding that they get it corrected right away for that next play. So I think this is yet another significant injury, and right now you're down 4 of your primary ball handlers. Like, I have seen a lot in sports. I've saw Pacers deal with a lot of injuries in the season, as did you. I'm not sure I've seen anything like this to the same position, to the hit after hit after hit. And so, yeah, to your point with Sophie, she just impacts the team in so many ways. And I thought it was telling on her podcast how she talked about how I found my joy and the love for basketball again. And while I liked my previous situation, this one was perfect for me. I was like, we talked to her a lot throughout the season. That's the first time that she has mentioned all of that.
Scott Agnes joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline, covers the Fever, and you can hear the Fever play the Lynx tomorrow night, 7:30 here on The Fan. Stephanie White talks about this team's resiliency, and they keep coming back, and they keep getting off the floor. And despite injury after injury after injury, they're hanging in there right now. Kelsey Mitchell has been terrific. They've hit on almost every person they've had to bring in on a 7-day emergency contract so far. What is the ceiling, though, for this team that just will not go away?
Yeah, I think so. Right now, you're just fighting to stay in the playoff hunt. But I absolutely think this team could win a series in the playoffs. Now, is their championship window closed because of all these injuries? I think absolutely, right? Like, I think that goes without question here. But I think this is a team that is feisty and has stayed at it. And they got a big score in Kelsey Mitchell, another all-star, and Aaliyah Boston still playing. It's if they can figure out enough to stay afloat as they have right now. But to what Kevin was saying earlier, yeah, time is of the essence. 3 weeks, 9 games, including 3 against the best team in the league, which I think is kind of bizarre here, including the next 2 games. But we don't know the status of the best player right now in the league, of the MVP, Nafisa Collier. And so that could significantly impact things here. But I think probably the best thing, Jeff, we've seen come out of this Fever season is after that first month, it's the unity, it's that togetherness, it's how they're willing to fight for each other and supporting one another. And I think those bonds will go well beyond this season.
Scott, if you don't mind, I kind of want to shift gears a little bit more. Pacers, Rick Carlisle, we saw a multi-year extension signed earlier this week. And, feel free to take in whatever direction you want when you saw that news. I think what stands out to me is, by all accounts, it seems like their coaching staff is once again going to be back together. And, like, when you see this progression of, incremental improvements year in, year out, exceeding expectations. Typically, I would think some of those front bench people don't stick together and they get whatever bumps or they go to other situations around the league, and yet that core is still going to be together. I feel like that's kind of rare across really any professional sports.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. With the continuity that they've had, it's now become where this team, along with the coaching staff, have grown up together and been there side by side from those low moments to now the high moments where there's great expectation. And I think Pacer fans are already ready for this upcoming season, given the way what they experienced at the end of last year, which I think was just so magical. And so it was cool to see so much joy in the city at that point. But to your point with all that, yeah, I mean, Lloyd Pierce is former head coach, and I'm sure he wants to be a head coach again. Will he get that opportunity? And so for him to be that lead assistant has been integral to what they're doing. And the other thing, I think the reason for it probably in large part is because of how Rick Carlisle empowers them. Like you see Jenny Busick up, commanding, leading the defense, certainly in those different moments. You see Mike Weiner maybe into game situations or running the offense and diagramming. Here's the clipboard diagram. I think that's something in sports, KB, that I've seen evolve a great deal, that I think head coaches, and this is just in general, are so much more comfortable, it seems like, in their role in assigning responsibility and empowering others. Stephanie White here locally, see that as well with her assistant coaches in huddles. And so I think when you feel part of it, when you're really doing something, you're not looking to leave. You're having fun. You like this group. And so I think that goes a long way.
Always good to talk to you, Scott. Thanks for your time this morning. And we'll have a Know Your Golfer showdown between you and James soon.
Sounds good to me.
When I study, just be ready to lose, Scott. Just be ready to lose, brother.
Tiger Hood. There you go, huh?
I was going to put him or Happy Gilmore,
Have a good one, Scott.
All right. See you guys.
Would we have accepted Happy Gilmore?
Sure.
Now that 2 has just come out?
Sure.
I think so.
John Daly could have been accepted, maybe.
See, we say John Daly, I think of like Mayor Daley in Chicago. So, yeah, not going to ring a bell there.
All right. Coming up in a moment, more on the fan text line. Some questions for Kevin and JB about the Colts, and also a very cool question, I think, about Anthony Richardson and the Colts and how they drafted him. We'll talk about it next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Still got a lot going on this morning. A little bit later on today, we have a spot in the Fantasy Football League, the Fan Morning Show Fantasy Football League up for grabs, Mark. You want to do that on the phone or text line later on?
I'll leave it up to you guys.
All right, we'll do it right in conjunction with
Are
Jake.
you guys going to join the league? I've sent only 10 emails.
Why are you so? The league doesn't start for a while. We'll be
I know,
okay.
but I have a feeling that it's going to get up to draft day, and I'm like, I don't see it. I'm not in there.
Now, did you send me an email, Mark?
See?
You know, we literally went through this yesterday. I will vouch for Mark on this. He has gone through this with you and Jeff.
Mark, I prefer my Gmail, if you don't mind.
Now, I will say this, and Mark, you and I were looking for it yesterday. Finally, you had to send one to my personal email. The one you were sending me just wouldn't show up in my work email.
Yeah.
I'm with Jeff.
That's weird.
I'm siding with my boss on this.
No, I'm siding with Mark.
All right.
Learn how to work your emails.
Kissing move, Kevin.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jake Seeley from The Athletic is a fantasy football expert. He's going to join us at 9:30, and we'll give away a spot in our fantasy football league at that point in time. In the meantime, Bronson Reed coming our way at 9:45 this morning, Mark Dykton.
Yeah, big boy. Kevin said he originally might have come in studio, and I was like, oh, boy.
He's going to sit down and break the chair.
He's not going to fit in the studio door. He's a big boy.
I do want you to be chiming in this conversation, Mark. I need you to lay down your expertise.
You guys can leave the room if you want to.
I think I was going to turn it over to Mark during that time.
There you go.
Here's a text on the fan text line at 239-1070 from JD from Colorado. Curious if we knew then what we know now, how does the AR draft go? Who do the Colts draft at 4, and where does AR end up getting drafted, knowing what we know now?
I have to go back and look at the draft class.
Oh, because Bryce Young was number 1. Number 2, I'm sorry, Bryce Young was number 1, then C.J. Stroud was number 2.
Jr.
Will Anderson Jr. And
then I think it was the Illinois corner, Witherspoon went 5.
Shout out my boy Witherspoon. He looks like a star.
And Will Levis went 35.
Yeah, he dropped a little bit. Who would you go after?
Well, I think when you are in a position like that and you identify the traits of what accuracy and obsessed with craft, that sounds C.J. Stroudy to me.
So you would have traded up?
Traded up.
Tried to, yeah.
Yep. And I guarantee there's
audio.
audio.
That's my thing.
I guarantee there's audio out there in 2023 of me saying that. To me, it is at all cost you have got. To me, when you sit there at the 4th pick, you're accepting people leaving options on the table for you.
Yeah.
I want to walk in the room. I want to walk into the gas station, James Boyd, and have my pick of the candy bar.
Right.
I don't want the candy bar.
Even if there's an upcharge.
Sure. I don't want Bronson Reed to be walking into the gas station before me when I know his large frame needs a few more of those candy bars. And now I'm left to what he is giving me on that. So it would have cost you a lot. What, Carolina moved from 9 to 1? Is that right?
Yep. With the Bears, I believe, wasn't it?
DJ Moore was involved in that deal. So, just got a little email here to join the old fantasy
league. Well, Jeff's only got a baker's dozen of them, and he hasn't joined yet. So if you can get in first.
I thought we established I didn't get any of those other ones.
Then I sent it to your personal, and you said you got it.
Yeah. And it hasn't even been 24 hours yet.
Well, once you get the email, just click join.
So I should have just dropped everything and gone right there.
You weren't doing anything else at the time. You were right here next to me.
Yep. But getting back to that question, I would agree with Kevin there. And I think the thing that always bothers me is you hear about teams that tried to move up. The Colts tried to move up. No, you didn't try hard enough. You didn't do it. So you didn't pay the price that it takes. Anything is possible when it comes to trades. And if you think you can go get a franchise quarterback, you do whatever you can to go get him. And so I remember even the behind-the-scenes Colts video that they released when they were so nervous because they heard a team traded back up to number 3. And they thought for a split second, did we just miss on Anthony Richardson?
Exactly.
And it was the Texans. And they were like, okay, we're good. You look up a few years later, and maybe you do wish you had to move. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. What an interview, by the way. That was a great moment for KG getting his first ring. But, yeah, I don't know. But if you stay put, you don't pick Anthony, I don't know what you do because every team passed on Will Levis, and rightfully so.
By the way, Mark, Derek has texted in and said, give us YouTubers a chance. Type it in the chat. Well, Derek can clearly use the text line, though, so they're not excluded.
Oh, look at that.
They're not excluded.
Derek, he told me, hey, get off that YouTube chat and get in the game.
He
James,
did.
Brandon wanted me to throw this your way, and he
I
sent
hope
this
this
to
isn't about golfers.
No, thankfully. He sent this to me yesterday. I thought it was a great question. What would be better for the fan base and their apathy? 11 wins with Daniel Jones and make the playoffs, or 9 wins with Anthony Richardson and don't make the playoffs?
For their apathy, meaning they will be more apathetic towards one or the other?
Well, I think fans are largely apathetic right now.
Well, that's fair.
So I think he's referring to, obviously, that would improve your apathy.
Okay, yeah. What would drum up more excitement?
But let's just boil it down to 11 wins with Jones make the playoffs, or 9 wins with Anthony Richardson. He also references here that Richardson takes a step forward as a quarterback. So
I think it's probably Richardson. Because at that point, maybe you have an answer, or you have come closer to an answer on the highest drafted player since Andrew Luck. And with Daniel Jones, you do know what you're getting. I thought that was a funny, in full context, when I talked to Cam Turner yesterday, the Colts QB coach, he was telling us one of the reasons they went with Daniel Jones is because you know what you're getting. And the irony in that statement is like, yes, we know what you're getting. We've seen it. So, and obviously he means more the consistency. We believe we can get a guy who can be steady and stable for us. But it was just funny hearing that statement out loud about a guy like Daniel Jones. So I would think the 9 wins, AR takes a step forward, and you feel at least closer to an answer on the guy who not too long ago you told us was the face of the franchise, the future of this franchise. And now, obviously, as I said in the first hour of this show, you are quitting on him, which is fine. Just don't say you are not quitting on him, because you are.
All right, more thoughts on this entire situation from us and the text line. And still ahead, we'll talk fantasy football with Jake Seeley. We'll give away a spot in our fantasy football league. And Bronson Reed checking into the show. And then that's all you, Mark.
Yeah, you guys can leave. You get out early today. Early release.
I love that in school.
My daughters have that on Wednesday. I despise it. It's an extra 30 minutes.
I love it in school, and I hate it as a parent.
Yep.
I knew my parents hated it, and I didn't care. You better be here at this time, Mama and Papa.
Every Wednesday, they get out 30 minutes early, and it throws my entire day off.
Go play on the playground for 3 hours.
It's coming your way next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Nothing but good decisions here on this show, Mark Dykton.
So we're talking about driving tests and everything in the break. Good times back then. Especially if you knew the teacher, that was always big points, too. Those always got marked off real quick.
I had to take my driver's test a second time because I was ruled to have rolled through a stop sign.
Oh.
Didn't come to a full and complete stop.
One of the hilarious things.
You know, me, I passed mine on the first try because that's what,
me too.
Most people do, Jeff.
No skin off my back.
You just had to come back the next day.
One of the most hilarious things of, like, stoplight cameras was my dad one time got a ticket in the mail, and it said, like, Mr. Dykton, you rolled through a red light camera and you got caught. You have to pay this fine. He's like, the hell I did. There's no way. We pulled up that video. He rolled through. He didn't even try to stop. And he's like, I stopped. It's right there. I'm like, you didn't stop a lick. Like, what are you talking about?
No,
he denied it and denied it and denied it. And even when he saw the video, he's like, nope, that wasn't me. Like, okay.
That's awesome.
No, you should see Grant. Grant is very by the book. If it's a 35-mile-an-hour zone, you go 34 miles an hour.
All right. Sounds like Grant needs to be on the road with real drivers like your boy who's going to put that horn on him. Hey, hold on, brother. I'm trying to get to work.
I don't care if it's a student driver. Get moving.
No, my dad would not put that on his car. I'm not putting that ugly sticker on my car. You better figure out how to drive better. Seriously, he would not do that. To this day, he's like, people who do that, why? Because, how do you get it off after that? Is it just on your car forever? Like, that is the decorum.
Right next to, like,
the decoration, brother.
Right next to, like, the Bush 2001 political sticker or something.
Yeah, I'm like, there's no way. Any stickers were not going on. They don't care. Graduated to high school, senior club. My dad was like, you're lucky if you get a sign in the yard. You're doing what you're supposed to do. All right, well, fair enough.
Good times growing up in the Boyd household over there.
Yeah. Someone told me my driver's ed teacher was Tiger Hood. If you met Mr. Boyd, he was very honest about everything.
It's the Fan Morning Show, 239-1070. You can give us a shout, or you can get at us on the text line. A lot of people have been doing that. We'll get to some of those coming up in just a moment. But now we're kind of in that period. We got a preseason game coming up on Saturday afternoon, and I guess with so many starters not playing, what are the things you're really going to be keeping an eye on, Kevin Bowen, on Saturday?
Yeah, I guess, does anybody push for a 53-man roster spot? But I'm not going to lie, I can't create a lot of fake hype around Saturday. James, how many guys?
Skyline Chili!
How many guys even making the team are going to play?
That's true. This really is. I think this comes down to, like last 5-6 spots. How did that kind of shuffle out? And then, honestly, between this practice today, making sure everyone stays healthy, because obviously if something pops up today, that could change things for Saturday. So I am very curious to see how that goes. And I will be having a 53-man roster projection coming out the moment that game ends.
So I'm just curious. You then start after the Cincinnati game. Everything becomes regular, getting ready for the regular season. You have 2 weeks before that takes place. Is Monday going to be the day off for the Colts again this year? Monday? Is that when they take their day off?
Well, that's going to be the day off for every team that plays on Sunday.
Well, a lot of teams go Tuesday.
What do you mean, like
their off days? A lot of teams have been Tuesdays. Some have switched over to Monday.
I thought you meant actually practicing. I'm like, well, yeah, they're going to be not practicing. Yeah. But no, the schedule is going to be what the schedule is. And, yeah, I would imagine it's pretty much universal throughout the NFL.
But the big thing is it just is full-on regular practice from here on out, right? And I guess it started this week.
Yeah. And I have Lair Overton texting me right now. Tuesday is the off day. Yeah, I thought he was asking me, like, are they practicing? I'm like, absolutely not. But, yeah, Monday they'll be in the building. Tuesday they'll be off. We'll have coordinators, I would imagine, on Zoom on Tuesdays. And I'll see Lara, who, again, just texted me many of these days throughout the upcoming season.
We got to get Lara on the show. We need to have Lara on the show.
My goat. You're welcome to come on the show anytime, and I'll talk about her daily miles and running things as well.
Yeah. Now, she will be present, of course, Saturday afternoon. So I believe it's back to Greg Rakestraw, Joe Wright's TV booth for the road game, Matt Taylor, Charles Arbuckle for the road radio broadcast here. Again, Saturday, another 1 o'clocker here, Saturday in Cincinnati. Bengals have played their starters the first 2 games, which is a little unusual for Zach Taylor. So, I went through their roster yesterday. Charlie Jones, Purdue product. Desmond Ritter, Colts legend, I think you would label him. Taven Bryan, another Colts legend on their team. Again, this has turned into really the old Week 4 preseason game is kind of how this Week 3 preseason game, with the schedule now shortened to just 3, is turned into.
All right, looking forward to having that broadcast on Saturday afternoon. And stay tuned here to 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan for more details on that. Let's check the text line again at 239-1070. Tanner says the Colts brass keeps talking about trust, and Jake's show was about trust. Colts don't trust AR, but we as fans trusted them to draft and develop a young quarterback. How can they expect trust from us fans when all Ballard has done is fail? Ballard and Shane don't deserve another chance. They are failures, all caps. Go Colts. Tanner.
I love the go Colts at the end.
He's sticking with his team.
People love their team. They want change.
I shrug the shoulders. Yeah. I mean, I thought Ballard should have been fired last offseason. Hell, I probably thought he should have been fired the year before. So, Tanner, you and I, yes, definitely on the same page there. And I guess, James, what do you think it changed? What do you think it changed from we need the quarterback to be the big play guy? That position means so much in sports. We need him to be the self-creator. Versus now it's we just need a manager.
When do you think it changed for the Colts?
Yes, in the Shane Steichen era. Because you go back, the early Richardson thought was, guys, if you see the plays he can make?
Yeah.
That's the stuff you can't teach. That's the stuff what you need. Grinding out 12-play and 80-yard drives are difficult in the NFL. You need the guy that has the flair, the guy that can all of a sudden drop of a hat, boom, 16 turns into 60. Whereas now it's back to methodical.
Yeah.
It's back to, no, just find our playmakers. I'm Shane Steichen. I'm a play-calling guru. I'm going to get guys in the open field. I'm going to create yards after catch, blah, blah, blah. When do you think that changed?
Well, the most obvious moment was probably when he got benched last year for the first time. And maybe that was during the tap-out game. Because if I remember correctly, they were competing with Houston in that game, and beyond just the tap out moment,
big pick
they
late
were.
In the first half.
Yeah, but they were. It seemed like every throw they were making in that game for Anthony Richardson, every play call was down the field, down the field, down the field. They had a big play, and it might have been a Josh Downs in that game. They had one that was called back because of a pick play to Alec Pierce, but it just seemed like shot after shot down the field, and I was thinking, man, how is this sustainable for a player? And then obviously they pulled the plug on that. And even when they brought Anthony back, the game plan to me shifted a lot. And it was not necessarily just a bunch of, explosive plays and hoping that you make one or two to get you down the field. So, yeah, it shifted a lot. And honestly, that might be a question to ask Shane and follow up on and be like, when did that shift for you? Because you ultimately had a decision to make that move.
Personnel-wise, pass catchers, it's definitely gotten better in the 3 years of Anthony Richardson.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Tyler Warren's presence, I think, is going to speak for itself. Josh Downs obviously was the same draft class as Anthony Richardson. Alec Pierce, maybe it took, honestly, an Anthony Richardson sort of big-arm quarterback to really see what Pierce can bring to the table. So that plays into it because, I think now we start to transition into more of, all right, this is Daniel Jones' football team. And I'll try to do this. I think it's fine to have the general big picture quarterback conversation as much as we have had it here over the last few days. But, starting next week or certainly the week after that, all right, Daniel Jones is a quarterback. How does this football team look with him? What needs to be good, elite for this to happen? Because, if you look at Daniel Jones's career, I think I saw the number yesterday. I want to say he's 7-33-1 in his career against teams better than 500. So this is not a guy that is going to elevate you in those settings. That's what his career has been. So what around him must be in place, must be stable, excelling, upper echelon unit, however you want to define it, for the Colts to be there at the end of December, early January, having a chance to make the postseason.
That's what Gary in Noblesville answers the question. What changed was when our playmakers developed into real talent. It would be like playing point guard for the dream team, his analogy being that, hey, Shane just wants you to go execute the plays as called.
He's saying the Colts skill group right now is like being point guard for the dream team?
Well, that's what he said, but I think his point being just get the ball into the hands of JT. Get the ball into the hands of
like Jim Irsay speaking
Pierce
to us about Michael Jordan still missing
and
shots.
Tyler Warren. I think his point is just get the ball into the hands of people who appear to be able to make plays in the National Football League.
Yeah, because they have James. They've tried this the whole just get the ball in the hands of playmakers before. They tried it last year with Flacco. That was the thought process in benching Richardson. They obviously tried it with Minshew. They tried it with Brissett. They've tried it with Matt Ryan. And now, yeah, your skill group is different, particularly at pass catcher. Jonathan Taylor, of course, has been here for, a handful of years, but pass catching wise, it has been there. I am curious about the O-line.
Oh, I'm very curious about the O-line. I think they're going to take a step back.
The pass catchers will be better.
Yeah, I think the O-line will regress.
But if the O-line regresses,
I think they will regress. And I don't say this is to clear that up real quick. I don't think this is me saying, oh my gosh, their offensive line is going to be terrible. I just think when you lose a starter, now granted Ryan Kelly missed a handful of games last year, but when he was in there, I think that it's fair to say Ryan Kelly at this point in his career still is probably a better center than Tanner Bortolini. Right guard, Will Fries, when healthy, is probably still a better right guard than Matt Gonzalez. I'm not saying those guys can't develop, but first month of the season, I think it could look a little rough just because they're transitioning into much more important roles that they just haven't been in before. Now, Tanner started a handful of games last year, and so did Gonzalez, but Gonzalez played at tackle, both spots that he started last year, so this is all kind of new to him still. And I think it's fair to say when you lose two starters, proven starters, guys who've gotten paid in this league for being good players, you will regress.
239-1070 is the number to text into. It's the number to call. We'll get to some of your phone calls a little bit later on, and we do have a spot in the Fantasy Football League for the Fan Show coming up a little bit later on. What's your question?
So this is courtesy of the YouTube chat, the old YouTube chat. You can still text us as well. Outside of Anthony Richardson and the explosiveness he gives you at quarterback, good or bad, who else is explosive on this offense? Who do you think is an explosive player in this offense?
Well, Pierce.
Right. I would agree there.
But as jet boat driver here, who needs to be a driver's ed teacher when you can be a jet boat driver? Pierce. Is the deep ball still there? And James, you and I have been fortunate to watch.
I would say Pierce, Jonathan Taylor. Who else is explosive? I don't know if there's any other explosive players.
Warren as a tight end could fall into he's an explosive tight end.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Mitchell can be.
That looks different.
Mitchell got to show me some on Sundays, but yes, he can be in theory, but he's got to show me a lot more.
Honestly, one of the bigger, and again, as we transition more to Jones as a quarterback, I think one of the more interesting elements to his game is going to be the deep ball. Because James, and we saw it again yesterday, where he hit Pierce in stride. I mean, there has been times, especially in the spring, he hit Pierce a few times. In camp, we really didn't see it. With Matt Ryan, it was like, I think Mark's made the very sad, but I think correct analogy of the old Yeller. Like, Matt Ryan just didn't have an arm anymore. With Daniel Jones, the lack of a deep ball is not a lack of an arm. I mean,
he can sling it.
He can definitely sling it. I mean, A.D. Mitchell on Tuesday, right in front of us. He has that ability. It's just a willingness in game settings against an opposing teams to try and to do that. Is that
we have Matt Ryan
to be there? Gosh, that's one of the more.
I legitimately thought that he was going to be good for this team, but that did not.
And again, Mark, was that a compliment when she said that?
Well, that was the halftime interview where
the Titans were
leading, and Mike Vrabel was pissed about how they played.
Frank Reich.
And then Frank Reich was losing, and their reasoning for not being down was because
we have Matt Ryan.
Which I didn't think that was a compliment. I know what he meant, but no. By the way, Frank Reich era, Saturday night, Stanford at Hawaii.
Oh, I would love. See, I should have been an athlete.
I'd like to cover that game.
Yeah, imagine being on the team and you're like the last guy. You're probably not going to play. You get a free trip to Hawaii. Oh man, my dream is to be like
the travel squad to do that.
Oh man, I would have loved. I don't want to be the backup quarterback. I want to be the
James Boyd Gunner.
No, that's too much work. Y'all trying to get me broke up. I want to be the guy who isn't active on Sundays. Practice squad guy. Practice squad me for all the weeks.
Nice. Yeah.
Walk out there. Ain't no sweat off my back. We win or lose. I get to just sit there.
Got your leisure wear on.
Oh, it's great.
Like that check.
I know. Hey, the checks are nice. Hey,
the
practice squad checks are still very nice compared to regular human beings.
Wait,
and us going to
practice
work.
squad? Is it? For some reason, I'm thinking it's $7,500 a week.
I think it's higher than that.
Is it higher than that?
Yes.
It's not bad work.
Not bad
I'll
work.
take that.
Dear Lord.
Well, Jeff is rich, so that's a little different.
Yeah.
75.
Well, the thing is, though, is you never know.
Camp at, Grandma's house, his kids go to summer camp in Oxford.
But the thing
by the way,
is,
I'm just joking.
You hope that you're on the practice squad all season long. Sometimes you are, sometimes you aren't.
In 2024, rookies and second-year players make a minimum of $12,500 per week, which translates to $225,000 over an 18-week season.
You sure don't want to play
Sign me
gunner?
up for that all day, every day.
$225 for 4 months?
Now you're into gunner, aren't you, at that?
No,
I'd be a gunner for
I'm
that.
not trying to be a gunner.
And James, you go to these NFL
I want to be
practices, man.
the backup long snapper.
It's not like these practice squad dudes, they're treating them like Rudy in the movie in practice. I mean, they're not beating up on you that much in practice. I mean, and again, this gets into our Anthony Richardson conversation. I think it's ludicrous that people act like major real development can happen as a scout team quarterback in NFL practices, but that's neither here nor there.
All right, we'll talk more about it coming up in a few minutes. Put a point on driver's ed, though. RC says his driver's ed teacher was on John Madden's coaching staff, had a Super Bowl ring.
Whoa!
How about that?
My dad taught driver's ed for a long, long time. So, yeah, we had the car with the sticker on it in the driveway. I'd always have to back it up to shoot baskets. Do not hit the driver's ed car. But, man, we drove that thing a whole lot. But I, of course, was not allowed to have my father as a driver's ed teacher.
All right, think about that. We'll check it down in the meantime.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Coming up on Saturday, preseason game number 3 for the Indianapolis Colts. They'll be in Cincinnati taking on the Bengals. I don't think we'll see a bunch of starters from either team, James Boyd.
I will be starting on the sidelines or in the press box because I will be there in person. And I'm very curious on a tangent what rental car I will get. I always ask for a compact car or a mid-sized car, and I end up with whatever they have left. Last year, when I went to Tennessee, I ended up with the Nissan Titan, and that was the biggest car I've ever driven for an extended period of time. So I'll see what I can get. Sometimes it's very nice. It could be a Cadillac 2-seater, or sometimes it could be the Nissan Titan. You never know.
Kia Soul. I'm going to go Kia Soul.
Gotcha. And whatever it is, it cannot be electric. I need gas, baby.
You could drive Jeff's Tesla, maybe.
I have no Tesla.
You could drive Jeff's.
Yeah.
What car do you drive?
It's my wife's car. It's a Mach-E Mustang.
Yeah, it's a Rolls Royce. Mach-E.
I drive the Escape.
Yeah.
That tells you how the pecking order is in my house.
He drives the Land Rover on Wednesdays. Today is a light day.
You can take one of the Ferraris.
Yes.
I'm just hoping to manifest all the things you think I have into my life. That would be great. In the meantime, the Indiana Fever. More tough news. We found out about Sophie Cunningham being out for the rest of the season yesterday. And then also we had a reveal by Scott Agnes that Caitlin Clark, in addition to that groin injury, is also had a little bit of a setback with an ankle injury not long ago.
Yes, that news was reported by Scott Agnes of Fieldhouse Files, and apparently this happened a couple weeks ago, but they are saying it is not something that should affect her timeline to return. My only question with that, Jeff, is why didn't you just come out and say that it happened? I mean, we've had teams do that where it's like, hey, throughout this rehab process, there was a little bit of a issue, but that was kind of weird how all that came out. But nevertheless, Caitlin Clark is still TBD.
And we will see the team as it exists tomorrow night at home against the very tough Minnesota Lynx squad, but they've been hanging in there. Kelsey Mitchell has been tremendous, James.
Yes, she is one of the best bucket getters on earth, and they will need her services, obviously, tomorrow night against the Minnesota Lynx, who are one of the best teams in the WNBA.
Tip time 7:30 for that one. You'll hear it live here on The Fan. Major League Baseball last night. Cincinnati Reds see an end to their 3-game winning streak. They dropped one to the Los Angeles Angels late last night. And the Cubs just own the Brewers right now. You should call Joel Erickson while you can.
Let's butt dial him.
4-3 was the final score yesterday. They've won 3 in a row against the Brewers. Michael Busch had a bases-clearing double in that game yesterday.
6 games back. Get it tonight. Shoda's on the mound. Get it done.
All right. The Indianapolis Indians shut out the Syracuse Mets last night in International League play. They will play again tonight in Syracuse beginning at 6:35. Kevin, anything else you want to throw in?
Mark, do you mind a little bit on WrestlePalooza? Is this going to be the first live streamed event on the new ESPN app? Is that correct? Exclusive to the ESPN app?
It's on ESPN network. should probably turn my mic on. I think it's on ESPN Network itself. Like, it's going to be on the actual, like, ESPN channel.
I thought the big appeal was it being on the app.
Well, I think it's going to be on there as well, but I think actually the streaming part of it doesn't take place until 2026. That's what they said in the original announcement, was that the WWE will be the home on ESPN in 2026 on the streaming stuff, but the first actual premium live event will be broadcast on ESPN, which I believe means it's just going to be the network, the actual network of ESPN. So if you are a cord cutter, you do probably need that new ESPN app, but if you have YouTube TV or AT&T or whatever, I believe it's going to be actually on ESPN Network.
Got it. I need to double check that. I must have misread.
Maybe I misread. I don't know.
I guess, could you fill us in on what WrestlePalooza will be?
It is going to be a again, they've gotten rid of the name pay-per-view. It is now premium live events. So it is going to be the second event since the Royal Rumble for the city of Indianapolis to host WWE, and it is going to be on Saturday, September 20th, I believe, at Gainbridge. And the rumored main event, they have said John Cena will be in it. And if any indication of what happened a couple weeks ago to John Cena is any indication, he'll be fighting Brock Lesnar in his return match. So that would be a huge main event. ESPN would probably love that little cross section with obviously WWE and UFC fans with Brock Lesnar back in the day in UFC. So should be a fun show. And Bronson Reed's going to join us in about 25 minutes to talk about it.
I'm just curious, the difference between PPV, pay-per-view, and premium, does that come with a price increase for them?
No, pay-per-view back in the day was like you had to get like the actual like the box or whatever back in the day in the 90s and stuff, and you would pay like $60 for an event, whereas premium live event, it's on Peacock or whatever, it's included in the subscription or whatever. But since it's not technically pay-per-view, you're not paying just to view one event, you're paying for the whole network and stuff.
I'm going to double check this. I think it's stream, Mark. There's no way ESPN is going away from college football.
That's what I was thinking too. That's why I was a little confused, but it did say exclusively on ESPN.
It says it'll be streamed on ESPN's new direct-to-consumer platform.
And they've changed their 2026 launch date, so that is interesting. Then they said a couple weeks ago it would be on in 2026, and they're launching it on September 20th,
This is
2025.
making my brain hurt. I remember back in the day, you could turn on the TV, flip the channel, and it would just be there.
That's the oldest thing that you've said.
I know, but I'm sick of it. I feel like I have to download something every single day to watch a million different things. Can I just turn on the TV and see my team?
I'm still trying to figure out how I explain to my wife I'm about to sign up for Paramount just so I can go see Landman. We have so many subscriptions.
That's what I'm saying.
She's like, enough.
You know what? Everything that is new is not better. There's my stance for the day.
Get off my lawn.
Yep, old man James yelled at the cloud.
James got the vote of everybody 50 and over with that comment.
Oh, I feel attacked. Coming up in a moment, we'll talk fantasy football. We'll give away a spot in the Fantasy Football League. Include the pool from the YouTube chat, too, would you? All right, we'll do that. That's coming your way next. It's 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning and welcome into a Thursday edition of the Fan Morning Show. Coming up by the end of the segment, we will have another entrant into our Fan Morning Show Fantasy Football League. Say that 5 times fast, James Boyd.
I can't, but someone who can is joining us here in a moment.
On as a matter of fact, right now on the Payless Liquors hotline, your buddy Jay Seeley from The Athletic covers fantasy football.
Seeley?
And he is here with us now. Jake, it is that time of year. Drafts happening all day, every day, everywhere. How are you keeping up?
In January.
Uh-oh. We might have to reconnect. We're getting
Sounds like my fantasy football history, honestly. There's no worse fantasy football player in the world than me.
Here.
All right, we got you back. It's better now, but yeah, it's that time of year. How many like mock drafts a day do you think you take part in?
Well, it depends if you're talking about regular drafts or slow drafts, because I have slow drafts going every single day that I can't stop chiming in and talking about. But redrafts, fortunately, I only have like 3 left before the end of the season, but I'm still doing slow drafts every single day. I think I'm in 6 or 7 right now.
Is it Jamar Chase's world and we're all just living in it right now, or what's going on at the top of the drafts these days?
You know, the argument is it's Jamar Chase's world, but I think there's also an argument that if you really want to still take a running back, you could say it's Bijan's, Barkley's, or Gibbs' worlds. A lot of B's in there. I know a lot of people are worried about Barkley coming off the 400-plus touches when you talk about the offseason, but, I mean, I'm watching Derrick Henry and the special freaks of nature at running back be able to handle that kind of workload. And also, let's be real, you guys know this. It's not like Barkley was hit that hard half the plays he was out there, so I don't think it's the same 400 touches that we try to slam on every running back. But the safest pick by far, yes, would be Jamar Chase and Jamar Chase's world at number 1.
So, Jake, thanks for joining us this morning. I hit you up yesterday. I was looking through some of the things that you posted, and I know you had in some of your rankings as far as, like, you know, wide receivers to look at or running backs to look at. For running backs, you had Jonathan Taylor in the top 10. For tight ends, you had Tyler Warren, number 17. And I'm curious, has any of that changed for you because of the quarterback decision here in Indianapolis? Now that you know it's going to be Daniel Jones, who should fantasy people be looking at in this market to say, okay, maybe this guy might have a better chance to produce given this quarterback?
Anthony Richardson when they have to turn back to him? No, just kidding there. Jonathan Taylor, I really didn't move. Tyler Warren did. Tyler Warren, I moved all the way up to 11 at this point. Going back to Daniel Jones with the Giants, the one thing we know about him that he can do well is hit that short to intermediate game. My biggest concern with Anthony Richardson and his big play ability, as you guys very much know, is we'd see a lot more Alec Pierce, maybe A.D. Mitchell as he was coming on, and not so much underneath. But I think that's a big change in the offense of what you'll see Daniel Jones do. So, yes, Warren's worthy of a flyer as a fringe tight end 1 for me. And then I boosted Josh Downs a little bit, similar to his ability to play around, especially in the slot. I know that Warren, he will kind of manipulate the same area a lot, but I think Downs can see the beneficiary of Jones, and I actually think it does hurt Pierce. You guys at the beginning can't wide open.
Uh-oh, lost him again. That phone line doesn't like wherever he's sitting right now. We'll try to get him back in just a moment here. But it is interesting with Daniel Jones being the quarterback, how much do you believe in all the receivers at this point in time? To have high volume and high touchdowns.
Some more than others, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Warren and Downs, I think you believe in more.
Yep.
Maybe Pierce less, if you want to boil it down.
Absolutely.
You know what I learned
that simply
at the Colts luncheon on Friday, that Josh Downs is the second youngest Colts player to accumulate. In his first 2 seasons, he is placed second in the number of yards he has amassed in Colts history.
Yeah, I think that would surprise people. Reggie Wayne battled some injuries early in his
the first guy was Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison, of course. Bill Brooks, other people would have thought with.
So Downs low-key has been putting up some numbers. So
yeah, and do you guys have any, like, well, I don't know, James isn't a huge fantasy football player, but do you have any core beliefs, Jeff, when it comes to, like, fantasy football drafts? Like, I will not draft a quarterback until here. I will stay away from X amount of, like, do you draft receivers on bad quarterback teams?
I have those things going, and I play quite a bit of fantasy football, and I have those core beliefs early, unless sometimes a draft just presents things differently. Could be the third round, and all of a sudden,
like just a seasoned veteran GM. The board spoke to me.
Did 2 years on fantasy football radio.
Right. Flex those credentials, Jeff.
But my point is,
Tell Kevin, you better talk. Recognize.
He did. Sit down, young man.
Jake will back me up on this. You want to have a strategy going into a draft. You want to stay with that strategy, but sometimes you also have to pay attention to the way the particular draft you're in is playing out and roll with that to a certain extent. Don't you, Jake?
You do, and apparently my phone's doing as well as Jim and Wright has been this preseason. But yes, if you want to see, like a strategy going in is fine. I will say, I think too many people, and that's not coming for you. You actually have a very good point here. It's just that too many people try to stick to that strategy because you brought up the second point. You have to be ready to adapt. I've seen a lot of people be like, "Oh, I want to get 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers in the first 4 rounds." And then ignore the value that might be falling to them on the draft board. You can always go in with a plan. It's the Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. You can't sit there and be like, well, I'm going to overdraft just because I want to fill this position before round blank.
Yeah. What about – go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask generally core beliefs. I get the whole adapting once the draft starts. But, Jake, like walking into a draft, boom, I'm in a 12-team draft. We've got a PPR. I don't know. The football knowledge level is pretty level-headed around the entire league. Give me like a core value or two. Quarterback here, defense here, stay away from pass catchers with bad quarterbacks. What are kind of a general 2-3 core beliefs we should have going into a draft?
So I very much like drafting this year what is now being called hero RB because people did zero RB for very many years, about 5 seasons ago. But I like getting one of those top tier running backs in the first 2 rounds and then loading up at wide receiver, especially as you said, playing in full point PPR. Again, things can change in the draft, but that is my general approach right now. Quarterback and tight end similarly, but more so quarterback is basically, it's the Ricky Bobby approach, first or last. If I can get an elite guy, and that means top 4 quarterback, top 3 tight end in the 3rd, 4th round, I'm not going to jump into the 2nd round and do it. But if I can get one of those guys in the 3rd or 4th round, I'll do it. But if not, I'm waiting until the end game because quarterbacks and tight ends are so replaceable. And I'll double dip at that point. I think you mentioned over at The Athletic, I did an article. One of the big mistakes people make is wasting their bench. And it's when they draft Lamar Jackson and they draft a second quarterback. Why? You're never benching Lamar Jackson, so you're wasting a roster spot that you could put on a running back or wide receiver flyer. But if I do wait to the end game, I will double dip. I'll take a chance on Caleb Williams and Justin Fields and even going further down to some of the breakouts like J.J. McCarthy because you take 2 shots at hopefully getting a top 6 or 7 tight end because I'm never going to be happy with quarterback 14 or tight end 11. Like those guys are replaceable every single year.
So I do want to ask this, Jake, and this is a kind of a joke question, but kind of a real one. When did you realize I can have a career in fantasy football and we're writing about it? Because it sounds like the coolest job ever. I mean, I'm in Indianapolis right now. I love my job. It is great doing radio, covering the Colts and the Fever and the Pacers. But at times I'm like, man, this QB conundrum right now, I don't want to be around this all the time. But in your world, I guess you get to, kind of have a little more imagination, I would imagine.
Yes, and surprisingly, I'm going to date myself on this one. If you guys remember forums back in the day online, I was a Giants fan at the time, and I was in forums and just jumping into everybody's fantasy football question conversations. And at one point, some random person in the forum was like, "Hey, why aren't you doing this?" And that's when I started my own blog on Blogspot, reached out to anybody and everybody I could think of. I took a job. I didn't even start with fantasy football. I just wanted to get my foot in the door, started covering the NBA and college football, which at least they were taught there, and then just turned along and eventually got the opportunity and it's grown to what it is today. Started the Athletic in 2018. But yes, started talking college football and NBA just to get the foot in the door.
Good stuff, and you can check out Jake's stuff on fantasy football. There's a whole section there on The Athletic. You know that I love The Athletic. I'm a big advocate of The Athletic. It's terrific sports journalism in a day and age when we need the good stuff, and you have just put out the essential 2025 fantasy football player projections for every position. So I expect each of the guys to my left and right to go check that out before we have our draft.
There you go.
Looking forward to seeing that. Is there anything doing that you were surprised by as you started to do your research into the players this year? You talked about who's going to be at the top, but who are those sneaky 4th, 5th, 6th round guys that you can pick that are going to make a difference in your league?
So I think everybody wants to talk about Corey Krosky-Merritt right now and, of course, taking over the backfield for the Commanders. So if he happens to be there in the 6th, 7th, 8th round and Brian Robinson is traded or released,
that's somebody that you can go into this weekend and pretend like you're the smartest person in the room when everybody else is wondering what's going on with that pick. I love some Ricky Pearsall if you're looking for a wide receiver. And the biggest part about it is because if Brandon Ayuk does come back, I don't think it's a threat to his job. I think that's a threat to Juwan Jennings. So he's one, and then I'll give you one more before we get out of here. Rookie wide receiver Matthew Golden for the Packers. They finally have a number one. Everybody's trying to figure out what's going on over there. Well, the best part about it is not only is he the number one, all the other wide receivers are hurt right now.
There you go.
Matthew Golden is ready to be the top option out for the Packers.
Thanks, Jake. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Mark, what is coming up next on the program? Not only will we announce the latest winner who's gained an entry into our fantasy football league, but what's up next?
Bronson Reed, WWE. Let's get out of the way.
All right.
He's going to talk WrestlePalooza next.
We'll do it with Mark as we continue. and 107.5 The Fan. But it gets even better for Mark Dighton coming up in a moment here as we will welcome in Bronson Reed and a huge wrestling event coming to the city of Indianapolis very soon. And Kevin, you learned about this from the Sports Corps. They're so good at putting stuff on.
Yeah, obviously tremendous and unbelievable for our city, and frankly a big reason why probably we have these jobs. But yeah, Patrick Talty, head of the Sports Corp, he came from WWE, so I think that has been a big spearheader.
I didn't know that.
In all of these events and all of the WWE infiltration, if you will. Obviously Royal Rumble, Mark's education was tremendous in that. With us back earlier in the year, and now, what are we, about a month away from Gainbridge Fieldhouse, calling WrestlePalooza home.
I like that. Mark, I'm going to let you do the honors and get this thing going with our next guest here.
All right. He is one part of the Vision, which is one of the most dominant factions in WWE currently going right now. A big announcement from WWE and ESPN yesterday about WrestlePalooza. And the one and only Big Bronson Reed joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline. Good morning, Bronson. How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me. And, of course, first off, acknowledge your tribal thief.
The one is in the air. The one is in the air. I appreciate you joining us.
Good. That's good to hear.
All right, so there's a big announcement from WWE and ESPN yesterday about WrestlePalooza coming to Indianapolis on Saturday, September 20th. For those who might be living under a rock or just need more info coming to Indy, tell us more about WrestlePalooza.
Well, it's a big deal. You know, it's the first ever WrestlePalooza, and it also kicks off the ESPN partnership that we have Saturday, September 20th. In Gainbridge Fieldhouse, but not just that, you're also going to see, you know, the headline attraction is John Cena's last match in Indianapolis. So fans here definitely got to get out there and check it out.
There you go, the Tribal Thief, the owner of the Shula Fala, the master of the Shoonami. Which of your nicknames, since you've been stealing shoes from Roman Reigns, is your favorite so far?
Probably the Tribal Thief. I think I can roll with that for a while and keep adding to that collection. I don't know how many shoes I can fit around my neck. Even the 2 pairs is heavy, but I'm going to keep trying to add as many as possible.
Bronson, Kevin here. Thank you so much for the time, and congrats on all your success, and I believe a young daughter as well. Back when Royal Rumble came to Indy in February, Mark, who you just heard ask the first couple questions, he is a diehard WWE fan. So he educated myself big time. Could you maybe further the education? WrestlePalooza, the appeal there for a very novice fan like myself will be what? Obviously, you're inside of the home of the Pacers, so Tyrese Halliburton, I'm sure, will be front and center. But the appeal there will be what?
Well, it's first off, it's the first ever WrestlePalooza, so that's a huge appeal right there. Not just that, it also kicks off the deal that we mentioned with ESPN, which we know is, it's ESPN, it's a big deal, it's the worldwide leader in sports, and now WWE is partnered with them. But not just that, you get John Cena in the main event, and you're going to get all the other superstars like Cody Rhodes, Becky Lynch, CM Punk, of course, the World Heavyweight Champion and member of the Vision, Seth freaking Rollins, which means you're going to have myself, Big Bronson Reed, you're going to have Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman by his side as well.
Hey, quick question for you. How's your foot feeling these days? I know you had a broken foot and you're coming back from that.
Well, yeah, that's the reason I wasn't at the Royal Rumble, because I was on the mend. It took 6 months for me to heal that injury. It is stiff every morning. I'll tell you that. Every morning I need to get up, stretch, and have my coffee to be ready for the day. But I'm as good as gold when it comes to getting in that ring.
Wait, but broken foot with a young daughter? That does not seem to be going well.
No. It made it difficult. I was definitely just on the ground with her for a few months there. But now that I can walk around and run around and stuff like that, we're back to wrestling in the playground.
Well, Brunson, you called yourself Big Papa after she was born, and how has that maybe shifted your perspective at all as far as your, professional but also personal life having a kid?
Of course, in personal life, it's a blessing. It's a dream. It's something me and my wife have been working towards for a long time. And then professional-wise, it just changes the scope of everything. I always wrestled, selfishly for myself to accomplish things that I wanted to accomplish in this business. But now it's about getting to the top of the business so I can, set her up for the future. And that's why you see me attacking Roman Reigns, and you see me taking his shoes and making sure I can cement myself for the future.
As a father of 3 daughters, Bronson, I can relate to needing to take care of those kids out there. So good luck to you in the fatherhood and all that stuff, because you're going to need it. If you could steal any pair of shoes from the history of shoes, which ones would you cop and why?
It would have to be obviously the Air Jordan ones, but some game played ones that Jordan actually played in.
There you go.
I like it.
And then the Vision, what's been the most important thing you've learned from the Oracle Paul Heyman so far with your recent faction joining?
I mean, he is a genius when it comes to pro wrestling. He's been in the game for a long time. Again, I think the most important thing for me is just knowing when and where to do things, and that's what he helps me with. He knows when I should attack Roman Reigns, how I should do it, having the Shula Fowler, like he's just a great reminder of how to be great in our business.
Tease us with anything we should be looking forward to as far as developments in and around you and what you've got coming up.
I mean, we have Clash in Paris coming up. I'm facing Roman Reigns. Once I beat him, I guess it's on to WrestlePalooza. I don't know what WrestlePalooza holds for Big Bronson Reed, but I guarantee it's going to be something exciting.
Gold in the future. That's what I see.
Once
from Big
I
Bronson
beat him,
gold in the future.
The vision is going to be dripping in gold. That's our whole thing, and that's going to happen.
It's not when you beat Roman Reigns; it's how many tsunamis you give him. That's my thought.
Exactly. It's not when I beat Roman Reigns, but it's will he survive Big Bronson Reed?
That's what we're talking about. Well, make sure you come see us when you get in town. All right.
Of course. Happy to.
All right. Good luck with fatherhood. I know you'll be great at it, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for having me.
There you go. Mark Dykton.
Let's
How
go.
about that for a Thursday?
Let's go.
Bronson Reed in the house today.
Well, I tell you what, Mark, the smile on his face.
Can we do that all day, every day?
Whether you and Ashley were married when, I think that's the last time I've seen the smile that
I
big,
told you,
Mark Dykton.
I told you, like when I watched the Caleb Williams preseason opening drive, I was like, we might have reverse science here. Talking to Bronson Reed, we might have a fourth on the way. We can do that all day, every day.
Did you like that when he was like, when?
Yeah.
When I win?
Roman Reigns has got his number right now, so we'll see. I like it. I like it a lot. So Clash in Paris, then WrestlePalooza, John Cena's farewell. I thought his final match in Indy was going to be Royal Rumble. You get one last dose of John Cena on September 20th.
What's your prediction for storyline twists coming up?
The Vision is currently running the show on Raw with Seth Rollins and others. How about this? YouTube chat, since you're on a delay normally, let's do this for the fantasy football spot. He named all the members of the Vision. It's Seth Rollins, it's Paul Heyman, it's Bronson Reed. Who's the other member of the Vision? If you can name that, first one to name it in the chat gets the the next fantasy football spot.
Furious Googling going on.
No, he said it. They should know if they're got good listening skills.
I like it right there.
Mark, great work with that. Thank you for carrying
you're getting
us
high marks on the text line.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'd like to do that more often. Got to get out there, though, for WrestlePalooza. Kevin, James, Jeff, I think we make a show date out of it. We should all go. Get you guys educated.
Jeff, you make the calls on this stuff, or at least you talk to the folks who make the calls.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Do I have to come in like a Russell uniform or something?
No. A Russell uniform? Get the hell out of here. What uniform?
What do you mean? What do I call it?
He's going to show up in the
singlet or
unitard,
like
the singlet.
Do I come in a singlet?
Yeah, no. We're not doing like high school wrestling here.
It sounds like last hour when James was trying to name 10 players in the PGA.
Get the Hot Topic. Grab yourself a wrestling shirt.
James is going to be the latest masked wrestler to show up.
Yeah, you're Rey Mysterio.
Oh, I like that. What would your wrestling name be, James?
I don't know. I'll leave that up to Mark. Mark, that's your assignment. I had to write down a bunch of names for golfers, and you'll have to come up with my wrestling nickname.
Senior Miami Dolphins are going to play their starters in the preseason finale. By the way, thank you to Bronson Reed. Thank you to Sports Corp for setting that up. And again, WrestlePalooza coming up September 20th over at Gainbridge Field. I believe tickets go on sale tomorrow. Dolphins.
Shout out to Dion, by the way. Dion is in our fantasy draft. He correctly identified Braun Breaker, the big dog.
There we go.
As the other member of the Vision.
Dion on that. The Dolphins going to play their starters here in the preseason finale. James, they've been really banged up.
They have.
This preseason. And just in general, I think I saw it a few weeks ago. They did one of these, first NFL coach to get fired here this season, odds-wise. Brian Dable was the heavy favorite with the Giants. 2 and 3 on the list was Mike McDaniel and Shane Steichen. So that's what's waiting week one. 2 coaches on what we assume are very, very hot seats here. Now, the Dolphins, they made the playoffs in each of McDaniel's first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then last year, they were 8-9, just like the Colts. Remember, started bad, Tua got hurt again, and then tried to make a run there at the end. It was too little, too late. But, boy, week one is one of those clincher you-know-what type games inside of Lucas Oil Stadium.
You just want to win any opening game, but particularly against a team you may be vying for a wild card spot with down the road, because it's almost 2 games in one when you look at how the Dolphins are expected to be going for a wild card, Colts at best going for a wild card. That's a big game right out of the gate.
I told you my hot take way before they even announced who the starting quarterback would be. If you don't win the season opener, you will not make the playoffs. There's my hot take for the 2025 season.
Is this right? The Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in 23 years.
That is right.
Wow.
Holy Nike.
Wow.
Oh, I had the dump button ready
I
there,
did
Mark.
too.
I was like,
know.
whoa.
Well, we went over this the other day off air.
Shnikes.
I was like, in the entirety that I've been hired on this station, the Colts have not won their home opener. So I am the bad luck charm. I can sit out if you need me to.
It is not you.
But, yeah, I was like, I don't think they've won since I've worked here. And sure enough, they haven't.
Maybe you should show up in a Colts singlet. Change things up a little bit.
Hey, I'd happily do it. I'll give that pregame speech I didn't give at the Packers joint practice.
So if it's not a singlet, what are they wearing in the ring?
There's singlets, but there's also, guys are wearing, John Cena's rocking jorts at 40-something years old. So, you
so
can
I need
wear
a pair of
whatever you want.
jorts if we do our show from, like, somewhere in Indianapolis.
We better be
based
at
off...
Gainbridge the Friday before. We better be in town.
All
We're
right,
doing a show live.
Kevin would be riding home with his Speedos, wouldn't he?
I got to go find my Rockaware shorts.
Yeah, Kevin, you could bring the Speedo out if you want.
That was
wrestling
my team
boots
name
and a
in the
Speedo.
fantasy league. No one wants to see your Speedo. That's my fantasy name this year. It's a
think my-
long name, but
My
I think
wrestling
it
name would be
qualifies.
Jay Boogie. I think I would dance around the ring as to not get hurt.
Somebody said James the Body Boyd.
Oh.
Woo!
like
what
that.
body are we talking about? Is it in the room with us? I'm like, these bag of bones? I don't
Hit
know.
the weight room.
You could
Let's
be
get to
in the light heavyweight division.
Yeah, the keyword light.
Oh, dig it. That's coming up. When is the date here in town, Mark?
Saturday, September 20th.
So Friday, September 19th,
19th.
I will be rocking my Rockaware jorts from back in the day, or
feel like
Fubu
I'm at-
jorts.
You got 4 weeks to get all pumped up and buffed there.
I
man.
think Rosie and I are going Notre Dame Purdue that day.
Oh, that's weak,
Ooh.
Kevin. That is weak on your part. You better cancel all your plans and get to WrestlePalooza.
We got to get out of here, guys. Coming up at noon,
Rosie
Jake
and I just
Query will
drive
keep
straight
the
there,
show
Mark.
running at 3 o'clock. It'll be The Ride with JMV. We will see you again bright and early tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. as we continue to get ready for the final preseason game for the Colts Saturday afternoon.